Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. So welcome to the third day of the Book Distribution Seminar. Thanks for being back here on time, almost. And we're gonna hear a few pointers of what you remember from yesterday's class. Anything that stuck in your mind? Okay, we're back. Anything you remember from yesterday's class?
We dealt with opening, starting conversation, interaction, and closing it.
Yes, how to open a conversation, how to interact with people, and how to close it. They say don't start anything that you can't finish. Okay? Don't open up something that you can't again close down. So that's a very important thing to know. Sometimes people are a little difficult, and we'll deal with difficult people today. Today is that day. And today also we're going to speak about different styles and methods and venues for book distribution. But before we go there, we hear more reflections on what you remember from yesterday's class. Thank you, Warren.
Golden rule: always leave a good impression and give more they deserve.
Give people more than they expect, yes. Under promise, over fulfill. What else do you remember from yesterday? Do you have another mic? Prema.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, the power of the hook of questions. The ones who make the questions lead the conversation.
Yes, become a master asker. The power of questions. If you learn the art of asking the right kind of questions, you can not only lead the conversation, but you can really go where you want to go and you can get things done. So just learn the art of using questions in a proper way. How you doing, Mark? Thanks for being here. It really makes a difference. It's such a joy for me to have all these friends and senior devotees and stalwart book distributors here. Anakaduta Prabhu, Prema and his wife. It really makes a difference, you know, because there's a lot of wealth of experience, there's a lot of practice, there's a lot of realization that's here in the room already. So it's not just one guy, you know, talking out of his elbow, but it's the collective consciousness actually. Like when you're in Kirtan, it's not just one person chanting and a couple of people jumping, but it's a collective yajna. It's a yajna, sacrifice. And that collective yajna pleases Krishna, and Krishna reveals himself through that yajna. Yes?
We're not humans having spiritual experience, we're spirits having experience.
Yes. Can you hold the microphone a little further away from your mouth because it's a little high up? Okay, can you restate that?
We are not humans having spiritual experience, we are spirits having human experience.
Okay, it's a very good line. It's just something that captures people's mind and it makes them think a little bit on in a philosophical way, and then you can connect it with the book. What else?
And things to be particular about yourself. First you should smile, then you have to have a nice dress,
Yes.
nice shoes, and a good attitude.
Yes. First impressions are lasting. Whatever the first impression is, that's what's going to remain in your mindset. And once you had that impression, it's very hard to change it. It takes 7 or 8 positive interactions to make up for one bad interaction. So be mindful of that. What else do you remember?
Consciousness creates reality.
Consciousness creates reality. This morning, I was reading Srimad Bhagavatam. By the way, any one of you started their reading practice? Anyone started their habit of reading? Anyone continued their habit of reading? I hope so. So, you know, if you want to get something done, and that's true for anything in life, dedicate the best time of the day for that activity. For me, the best time of the day is I get up early, and before Mangalarti, before starting to chant japa, I just sit down and read a chapter of Bhagavatam. This morning I read Creation of the Kumaras and others, and it's pretty amazing how Brahma manifested his 4 sons, and then he asked them to get married, and they didn't comply, and he got angry, and Rudra appeared, and then after that, he got attracted to his daughter, and you know, a whole lot of things happened, but it's very fresh and vivid in my memory. Why? Because I had a fresh and clear mind when I read it. So if you want to have an actual experience of communion with Krishna, morning time, best time of the day, read Prabhupada's books. Consciousness creates reality, because this is really a conscious work. We're not doing body work, we're not moving so much physical elements, but it's the mind and the spiritual energy that actually moves things. Mind over matter. It's the mind that moves things. It's ideas who actually rule the world, so to speak. Okay, what else? Let's hear from some others when you remember. Remy, there's microphones coming your way. One more here.
Yes. The one that takes the questions is the one that controls the conversation.
Do you like to control conversation?
In Sankirtan is good because sometimes, if not, it's like people start talking and talking and talking and...
And talking and talking and more talking and more talking,
so
and it never stops.
make some question like...
guided, directed,
yes.
so it comes to the book.
Yes.
So you can actually get them where you want to go. So learn how to direct your line of questioning. What else do you remember?
Listen to the customer without getting distracted.
Listening to people without getting distracted. Thank you very much. You know, if you can learn the art of just paying attention to people, they will be so happy. Because you know why there's so many dogs out there? I mean, not here in India so much, but in the West. Like where I'm at in San Francisco, it's a city of 850,000 people. There is less than 100,000 kids, people below the age of, you know, teenage. There is more than 120,000 dogs. You know why? Because the dog listens. Just because the dog listens. The dog is, you know, dependent on the master, and the dog is actually paying attention. So if we learn the art of actually giving people a moment of our time and listening to them, then they will be so happy. They will be so pleased. It's a great art. It takes patience. And listening without getting distracted. You don't get emotionally involved in their scenario. You don't become absorbed in the ups and downs. But you just listen without judging, without taking sides. And it gives you an idea of what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita when he says, Upadrashanamantas Chabarta Bhokya Maheshwara, that Paramatmeti Chapyukto Desmudra. He's the overseer, the permitter, the sanctioner. He's the one who is always just observing the field. So who are you? Are you the actor? Are you the one who makes it happen? Or are you the person who's just observing? If you're observing, you're not entangled. You're not caught up in the scenario. But if you get attached and you have an angle, you have an ambition, then you become implicated in the scenario. Thank you. What else? Catch.
By Vijaya Prabhu, he speak about tolerance. How to...
Tolerance, yes. How important is tolerance? Very important. Thank you. How tolerant do you feel today? There you go. I mean, you can't even last the morning program in the temple if you're not tolerant, right? I mean, there's people stepping on your toes, people kicking in your head, you know, people bumping you from all sides. Has it ever happened to you, or is it just me? And the mind goes, right? Starts like making a few noises, right? And you tell the mind, it's okay, it's the Vaishnavas. It's mercy. I'm getting the dust of the Vaishnavas. This is wonderful, right? But that appreciation can only grow on the fertile soil of gratitude, humility, and tolerance. Those are the ingredients. If we do not have those ingredients, that tolerance will never sprout. And as soon as somebody just slightly looks at us the wrong way, or they touch us, we go, you ever have people like that? You know, you touch them with a book and they almost like explode. Have you seen sometimes? Sometimes you just step close to people and they're like blowing up. Why? No tolerance. Now, of course, culturally, if you grow up in an environment where there's a lot of people are a little more tolerant, or maybe they're a little more, what's another word? Desensitized through that experience. But as Sankirtan devotees, it is imperative that we develop this quality of tolerance. Otherwise, it will not be possible to go on distributing books for a very long time. I asked my older brother and dear friend Harinamananda Prabhu, how do you do it? How can you go on doing book distribution? And he said, you know what? You have to actually like the people. It's as simple as that. Do you like people? And then some go, well, you know, sometimes, some people, maybe not too much. You're going to have problems, I guarantee you. You're going to run into the brick wall, it's going to hit you so hard and heavy that you just want to run back to wherever you came from. You're going to quit. I can guarantee you that. Today is day number 3. It's the graveyard shift out of the course. Today we're going to deal with trouble. We're going to deal with difficulty, with obstacles, with all the stuff that's going to hit you. And we're going to prepare you for that so that when it hits you, you know how to deal with it. That's right. So, what else did you remember from yesterday? You already got one? Yes. Alex.
What people say is not necessarily what they mean.
What people say is not necessarily what they mean. They say one thing, but they mean another thing. So how do you know what they actually mean? You have to be able to read their minds. That does help. That is a good thing. But what does it mean? What people say is not necessarily what they mean. You have to be able to watch body language. Did you know that people only retain the statistics here? Let me read it. 55% of what people remember is non-verbal skills. It's your appearance, your gesture, you know. Then 38% of what they remember is your tone of voice. Like this morning, a friend of mine said he was watching online. And I said, how was the sound quality? He said, the sound quality was so-so, but you got quite a persuasive voice. You know, you got quite a dominant voice. So it was easy for him to hear because I was articulating my words pretty clearly. Only 7% of what people retain is actually your words, what you say. So 93% is how you say it, and 7% is what you speak. Can you imagine? 7, 93. So in a similar way, when people are saying things, don't bother so much what comes out of their mouth, but rather try to get an idea of what is it that they're trying to tell you. Because sometimes there's language barrier, there is other types of issues that people are stuck with. So as Parameshwar Prabhu yesterday said, try to tune into their mind, into their frequency. Try to figure out where they're at and try to connect to that and make some sort of friendship, some sort of bonding with them. If you succeed in doing that, people will open up, people will trust you, people will, they will give themselves to that experience. Something else that you remember from yesterday's class? All right.
Book distribution is the best school in life.
Book distribution is the school of life.
It's the school of life.
It is the school of life. Whatever it is that you would like to learn, whether it be psychology, philosophy, economy, politics, interhuman relationships, conflict resolution, you will learn it on Sankirtan. I can guarantee you that. Money-back guarantee from this seminar. You will learn it on Sankirtan. Absolutely. And those who have been around for a few years, they nod their head and they smile. Because whatever it is that we have learned, we've learned it on Sankirtan. Yes, we've heard the classes, we read the books, we attended the programs. That's very nice. But realization comes through application. It's not about memorization. It's not about rote repetition. It's not about ritual. People want to know, how does that make you feel? What is your actual experience? Why are you doing what you're doing? And yesterday we did not do the recap from day one because Vijay Prabhu came early and he started firing away right away and I did not want to hold him up. So why is it that you want to go out and distribute Prabhupada's books? So you have your 108 reasons of why you want to do that? Okay, you got your hand up. You got a microphone here? Give us one, your burning, your topmost reason.
It's the best thing for myself and for the world.
It's the best thing for myself
And
for the world. Well, you're also part of the world, right? So if it's the best thing for the microcosmos, it should also be the best thing for the macrocosmos. Okay, somebody else. Why do you want to share Krishna consciousness?
because people, they don't really experience like genuine relationships in the material world. So we can be loving towards them and materially satisfied.
Do you experience real relationships when you go on Sankirtan?
Yeah, if I'm in the right consciousness.
It's possible, right? We have those moments, those special moments. Yes. Lakshman.
You sense the Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada mission.
Pleasing our spiritual master and Prabhupada's mission. How important is that on a scale of 1 to 10? 10. Whoa. Okay, thank you. That was fast, huh? I'm impressed.
To give out of the mercy that I received.
To pay it forward. Whatever I've gotten, I like to share it with others. So, and how to do that? Well, by extending myself in a similar way and handing it to others. Okay, what else? We got 2 microphones. You got to hand it or speak?
I can speak.
Either way.
So it brings fulfillment and also meeting like-minded people.
What was the first one?
Brings fulfillment by spreading the message.
Okay.
And second is meeting like-minded people. Like
Meeting like-minded
friends,
people.
basically, yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. What else?
To give people the opportunity to experience God.
Yeah, give people the opportunity to experience God. Thank you. What else?
To bring satisfaction and understanding to a misdirected civilization.
Okay, sounds like a Bhagavatam verse, huh? Yeah. Behind you? The quiet row of silent observers here. Our quality control team in the back.
To purify myself.
Self-purification. Tapasa brahmacharjena yamena cha damena cha tyagena satasochabhyam yamena yamena va. When Brahma wanted to create the universe, did he just get busy, in his workshop, throwing stuff around? No. He performed tapasya for a long time, till Krishna appeared and thanked him. and said, you know, Brahma, don't be anxious, don't be depressed, whatever you want to do, it's been done so many times before. Just go out and do it, okay? And that's basically the process of Sankirtan. That's why we perform our sadhana, that's why we perform our spiritual program. Going out and giving a book, that's not so difficult, you know. But doing that sacrifice of internal purification, of getting rid of all the anarthas, the unwanted things, what obstructs our mind, all that noise, all that clutter. I tell that to people on the street sometimes. I say, look around you. Everybody looks pretty nice, right? But if you would be able to hear all that noise that's going on in their heads, wow, it's pretty loud. It looks pretty quiet out here, but actually it's pretty loud up there. Is your mind ever loud? Does it ever happen to you? Sometimes the mind is so loud you can't even go to sleep, even though you're tired. You know how many people take sleeping pills, medication, in order to be able to go to sleep? It's a big business. But if you go on book distribution, you'll be so tired. The moment you lay down, lights out. I can guarantee you that. You're just exhausted. Anaka.
But to have fun?
You're going out to have fun?
Yes.
Yeah.
And another thing?
Who here likes to have fun? Who here likes to be miserable? Okay, if you like to be miserable, most likely it's because it gives you fun, right? It's fun. So you end up being in the same situation like the rest of the normal people out there.
And another thing is to see how Bhagavatam is real, you know, because we see all the stories of Bhagavatam is played during Sankirtan. One day you find one day the other one.
All the different, thank you, all the different protagonists, all the different, you know, like Bhagavad Gita here, you know, the Kauravas, the Pandavas, all these archetypes of personalities, you will recognize them in real life. Dhritarashtra, Shakuni, Duryodhana, all these colorful fellows, they're all here in real life. And you can see them. Now the question is, which persona are you attracted to? Which person is attractive to you and you would like to emulate? Well, that's your own personal choice. I'll leave that up to you. Very good point. Yes, one more over here.
To become an instrument in the hand of God to give this book to others, because as you mentioned, it will be given. This is the order of the Lord Chaitanya only, that it will be spread all over the world, but to become an instrument.
Yes, you see that Lord Chaitanya's prediction is actually coming true. The mission is spreading. People are coming forward. People are becoming Krishna conscious. You may be a young devotee and you have never seen somebody who joined the movement because of a book. I was at the Manor in the UK, Bhaktivedanta Manor, and one young boy, after the Sankirtan seminar, I asked, so how did you join? And one young boy said, you know, I went to India and I was traveling and I was in Pushkar and I was just mostly smoking dope and doing, you know, stupid stuff. But then there was this chanting party and I bought a book, you know, and I said, yeah, that was us, you know, we were there. He got that book from us, you know. So now he's at the Manor chanting Hare Krishna because he got a book. So tomorrow we'll speak more about that follow-up and how to make devotees and how to cultivate people, and Anaka will have his presentation. If people ask me, why am I doing this? There's very strong samskaras, very strong experiences that shape our path. And if you go on book distribution, you will have many of these very strong experiences. I was in Novosibirsk, Siberia, in the first week of January. It was minus 35 degrees. Now that's like 20 odd years ago. And I met one person who told a story, a very interesting story that I would like to share with you. And it's one of kind of these stories that kind of make your day or make your week or your life, depending on how you look at it. So he said that when he was distributing books in one of the cities in Siberia, he met, and you have to understand, Siberia is a big area, and it's spread out, it's very rural, there's not many people, and not many devotees, at least back then, 20 years ago. So he was in the city distributing books on the street, and he saw another person also distributing books. So he went up to that person and he said, "Prabhu, from which temple are you?" And that person looked at him and said, "Prabhu? Temple? What are you talking about?" So, turns out, this person was also distributing books. He said, "Look, 2 years ago I came here to this city and I bought this Bhagavad Gita. And in the Bhagavad Gita, at the end, and I will ask you which verse it is, Krishna says, if you want to become dear to me, you have to give this knowledge to others." Which shloka? Yainam paramam guyam yad bhaktesha vinashyati. Yes, very good. 2 points. So, 1862, correct? 68, yes. Just check. So, Krishna says at the end of Bhagavad Gita, if you want to become dear to me, you give this knowledge to others. So he had read the whole Gita, and he figured out, yeah, that's a good idea. So what did he do? He took his Bhagavad Gita, and he went to the Xerox shop, and he had 100 copies made. It's a 1,000-page book. 1,000 times 100? It's 100,000 pages, right? He had it bound, and he went on to the same street where he bought a book, and he started going up to people and saying, "Hey, you know, it's a real good book, you know, I like it, it really helped me. I think you're going to like it too. I Xerox copied it, it cost me 50 rubles to print, you can give a donation." So, without him having gone to any temple, meeting any other devotee, undergoing any training, he started printing and distributing Prabhupada's books. Now, I have a doubt. I have many doubts. You know, having doubts is a sign of intelligence. Do you know that? So I have many doubts, so I'm very intelligent. One of my doubts, and it's a reoccurring doubt, is, as you may have noticed, ISKCON Hare Krishna is becoming mainstream. It's a scary proposition. We're becoming a religion. We have all the bureaucracy, autocracy, democracy, all the adhocracies, all the other confusions that go along with it. What if we become another mundane religion? You know, some of us were not such good Christians, Hindus, Muslims, Jews. We were not so attracted to all those, you know, dharmas of the mundane variety. So what if Krishna consciousness again also turns into another mundane religion where people just gather for social purposes, just to socialize, just to interact? What if that can happen? It happened to many other religions. They started off pretty fired up, you know, they were like revolutionaries. It was all about the mission and pure love of God and let's help people and let's make a difference. And all of a sudden it became about territorial concerns, who owns who taxes who can be more important than others. That can happen too to our ISKCON society. So that's one of my doubts. But when I heard this story, I became convinced that even if, God forbid, this would happen, somewhere in Siberia, somewhere in Patagonia, somewhere in Jharkhand, somewhere in East Bangladesh, somebody will get a Bhagavad Gita and they will actually read it. And they will understand the concept of pure devotional service. And they will restart the Sankirtan movement by themselves. That's my firm conviction that no one can stop this Sankirtan movement. Even if we screw up and we all become useless, each and every one of us here in this room, God forbid, but it can happen. You know, I've been doing this for a few decades and I've seen a few people come and go. Somebody somewhere will pick up the book, will read it, and will actually restart the whole process, the whole cycle. So you cannot stop this Sankirtan movement because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu already declared that it will be victorious. And the more you go out, the more people will surface and you will see how they will show by their own example how powerful this process is. This is just a warm-up, so as I've mentioned, we're going to get into some very interesting activities today. I need a scribe, somebody with a legible handwriting. You know how to write?
Yeah.
Okay, get up. Since you're volunteering, I would like to know from you, what are the different places where you distribute books? Where do you distribute books?
My neighbors.
To neighbors, okay? Neighbors. Okay, we need a second scribe here. Somebody else?
University.
Neighbors, yeah, sure.
University.
Okay, university.
Rock Fountain.
What else? Streets, right? Streets? Okay. What else?
Shopping centers.
Malls.
Festival. Festivals.
Parking lots.
Parking lots. Yeah, parking lots.
Temple programs.
At the temple.
Trains.
In the trains. Okay, what else? Where do you
Buses.
Festivals.
You have bus.
Mother's house.
Mother's house.
Schools.
Planes.
Planes. What else? Already had. Airports. Airports. Hospitals.
Prisons. Traffic signals.
Prisons. Traffic signals. Stoplights.
Art crawls. Art crawls.
Art crawl.
Crawls.
Crawls.
Space.
Art crawls. Big.
Art crawl. Can you tell
Art
me?
fair.
Oh, art fair.
It's
Okay.
different. It's gallery openings.
Yeah.
And then it happens every first Friday or second Friday in most American towns.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Art crawl.
They crawl. They walk.
Art crawl. Makers Fair. Conventions.
Do we have festivals?
Yeah. Okay, hold it. Our gentleman here. Art crawl, like crawling. Okay, conventions. What else? Parks. Where do you go in Bangladesh? Okay, what else?
The buses.
What else? We already had those.
In buses and festivals.
Okay, something new?
Library.
Libraries, okay?
Temple.
Temple.
Put in the bookshelves and hotels.
Motel Gita. Shastra Dan, sponsored books. Schools. Prabhat Samadhi. Government. Corporate office. Churches. Walmart. Societies.
Literature festivals.
At work, at your own job.
Literature festivals.
Literature and book festivals.
There's a competition there, so.
Yeah.
Military base.
Military, army bases.
Taxis.
Taxis. Friends and well-wishers. Yeah. Sports grounds. Wherever you find space and more important people. Because there's a lot of space out there. Thank you, gentlemen. But it's good if there are people also. So how many places are there where you can distribute Prophet's books? Tourists.
No, a toilet. He distributed a book to someone on a toilet.
Toilet. You know, honestly speaking, everywhere where there is a lot of people, so toilets, you got yourself. You know what I really like to do? I love to work the security line at the airport. Especially in India. Because it's like fishing in a barrel with dynamite, you know, they just can't go anywhere. They're stuck there. Or or the line in front of the ATM, when people go to draw money, it's really good. You know, you have to know how to deal with it. Okay, so you see basically there's unlimited opportunities of where to go and distribute books. Now, obviously, you'll not be able to cover all of them by yourself. But why not pick 3 of them and try them out? Okay? So just pick 3 places that are feasible, that exist in your locale, in your situation, and you start working on those. Each of these venues has got a certain particular style and flair, but the basic schematics, the basic scheme is the same that we discussed already yesterday. So today we're going to have a little bit of presentation by a few experts on how to deal with the different scenarios, and I will call upon a few of you who are experts in those types of distribution. So feel free to share your experiences, because literally speaking, there is no limit to this book distribution. That's why Prabhupada said double it every year. And it is possible to do it, just with intelligence and organization, as he told Giriraj Swami. That's how this movement will be spreading, with intelligence and organization. So, yesterday when we went through the structure of presentation, we mostly focused on street distribution. Did you notice, like how to stop people and how to approach people? We talked a lot about interaction on the street, in an open environment, so to speak. So now I would like to hear from my dear friend, Anakadundabi Prabhu, who is doing door-to-door, how he's doing it. So please share in a few minutes just what happens when you actually walk up to that door. You know, you can show us here with this door. It's a closed door. There's seemingly nobody there. And how does the magic happen?
I just came here, otherwise, you were... Is it working now? Yes. So I just came here, otherwise the back would be difficult for you to face.
People want to see you, yes.
Door to door is whatever you get, you get. I mean, so you have to, at least I have, what I'm doing, I'm really praying to be able to connect to the people that will open the door. One trick is that I learn the name of the person that I'm going to approach.
Where do you know the name from?
I just read it on the mailbox or on the bell.
Did you hear that? You're going to take notes. You know you're going to write that stuff down. When you go door to door, pay attention. On the mailbox, the name is there, or in the house.
Yes, this is very important.
If not, you can ask the neighbors.
Yeah.
What's the name of the guy next door?
And then when you ring and someone answers on the other side, who is it? Then they say, is this Mr. Antonio or Mrs. Luisa, whatever? And if you have the first name, is better, but the family name is also good. Then there is a good chance that they open the door or they come down. Or the difference between big flats, big buildings with many flats and single houses like this, and like that. And when the people look at you in the, from the inside without saying anything, you can hear. I have a good hearing by the mercy of Krishna. I can hear when they are coming to the door. And just before they look at me, I just knock and say their name, and they open. It's really...
Did you write that down?
Yes. It's really effective.
That's a secret. That's how to get people to open the door.
You have to try it. And then the thing I do, when they open up, I say, hi, I am Antonio, Padre Antonio. In Italy is priest, Father Antonio. I'm Padre Antonio, and I just, I'm here, and this is the book that I'm bringing this year. That's, this is the art of never getting angry. This is more or less what I say. And I smile and I look at them. I have eye contact. And I try to be polite and gentle. How are you? I how are you? And is everything going all right? And if other people are around, I try to interact with them. Oh, this is your daughter. Sometimes I make mistakes. No, this is my wife. So you have to be careful about that. But then you can say, oh wow, this is very nice. You have such a young wife. That means that you have for sure very good qualities. And like that, you can brush it up in some way or other, and like that, and then usually, and of course I give the book in their hands immediately, and usually when they turn it, they want to know how much is it, and then I say, well, we are monks, we are missionaries, and I have a badge also with my picture and where I am. Missionary, volunteer, like that. And so we are not selling them. We have a printing cost, that is around redemption, usually double digit. You can give whatever you want. The most important thing is that you have this book in your house. And if you read it, it will be even much better. And then, of course, the interaction, like we heard yesterday, we have to be very sympathetic to the person. We have to listen. We have to use the praise in a nice way. We have to mean what we say, like that.
Questions?
As personal as possible, as much personal as possible.
Questions to Anaka. How long have you been doing this door to door?
Since the 1st of March 1993. Full time. Before I was doing the dentist from 89 to 92.
He's a dentist.
I was going out once or twice a week or a month, depending on my engagements. I was living in Italy.
So do you go back to the same area, to the same door?
I love to do that. This is my, this is the ice on the cake, or the cherry on the cake. I really like to go in the places where I've already been. And this is.
Are you not afraid that people will recognize you?
No, usually, actually, yeah, the people, they recognize me because I'm distributing like this, so I don't, the people.
So how do they feel about meeting you again?
Usually they feel pretty good.
They're super happy.
Yeah, they're very happy.
Meeting an old friend, like, where you been? Why it's been so long?
Yes, yes, definitely like that. And sometimes I remember also if they didn't take the book, then the next time they take the book. A lot of time happens. And
Did you get that?
This is
oftentimes people need to meet you on different occasions before they build up the courage to actually take the book. You remember? The primary reason for people not to take books is not because they're not interested. It's because of a lack of trust. They do not trust us. So we have to earn their trust. That takes some time to build that trust. Other questions? Yes.
In our scenario, we face this problem that I am knocking the door behind this. Maximum times they say nobody is there. So how do
they say nobody is here?
Yeah. So how do we
That's funny. What do you tell when they say no one's here?
I just go to the next door.
Okay. Problem solved.
What's the use to insist?
Hey. Okay.
Sometimes.
Carry on.
We started as a book distributor. End up with a Bhakti Vichar. We started as a book distributor. Yes. Last end up with a Bhakti Vichar. Is it possible? They asked me to go to the house. They actually doing book distribution. Yes. Sometimes they call me to the house. They ask us to start Bhakti Vichar there in the house. Is it possible?
Yes. Of course. I will talk about this tomorrow.
How do you like?
How do you carry books with you?
Well, usually I have a trolley and I have few books in my hands like that. And usually I present between 2 and 3 books at a time. With, of course, different books, not the same.
Do you mainly do houses or apartment complexes, or do you all do all the different types of?
Well, usually I do everything that is around, and of course you have to be in the, like Charlie Chaplin said, in the right spot at the right moment.
And enthusiastic.
And enthusiastic, with enthusiasm.
Would you buy a book from this guy?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Does he look nice?
Yes.
Does he have style?
Yes.
Is he a gentleman?
Yes.
Okay. So it's as simple as that. You just become like that, and everybody will just buy books from you. He's going back to the same places year after year after year after year, and he will speak tomorrow how he cultivates people, how he gives them beads, how he gets them to chant, how he gets them to become devotees. And he's building up hundreds and hundreds of people in their Krishna consciousness. Because it's not just about running around and selling a lot of books and making a lot of money. It's about actually making a difference in people's lives. That's what we're trying to do here. And in the meantime, you can also put out a few 100,000 books, that's okay. But we really want to cultivate people and bring them closer to Krishna. And for that, people have to be able to trust us. So to be trustworthy means we're sober, we're sincere, we're serious. So thank you, Nakadundavi, for sharing your Door to door. Are there any doors where you live? Yes. How many of you live in a cave? In a hut, okay, there's no doors, right? But for the most part, there is no lack of doors, right? So you can just walk around your neighborhood. You don't need to drive 5 hours to find some doors, right? You can just start walking around in your neighborhood and start knocking on your doors. Have you heard of the Jehovah's Witnesses? Yeah. Have you seen them in action? Yeah. They just operate in their neighborhoods. And they just come by every week, every week, every week. Every week they come by. And after a while, when you meet people, they dress nice, they talk nice, they behave nice. After a while, people just, they warm up, they open up to them, and they start taking the books, and some start, joining their cause. Another thing that I found very useful, oftentimes you knock on people's doors, and I think I mentioned that yesterday, and they ask, who is it? And I say, it's me. And then they open up. It's like, you have to know that, open sesame, there's a certain mantra, And then, at other times, when they open the door, it's always like that moment of truth, like they open the door and they see you with the books, and what's the first thing you're going to say? So you have to beat them at the chase. It's not that you let them speak first. You have to have something to say right away. So what's a good thing to say? I always ask them, do you live here? And they really crack up. They really start laughing. Sometimes they say, no, I'm just a thief. I'm just or they just start laughing because it's so funny. Of course I live here. It's my house. But you just have to say something to break the ice, because the moment may be a little tense. They look at you. You look at them. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what to say. So you just say something funny. Any other questions about door to door?
So, excuse me. I found that when I became interested in door to door, that my local authorities were kind of inimical, feeling like it would build a lack of trust within our small community. What do you do when you run into a situation like this?
Lack of trust in terms of?
Like it's too religious, or you seem fanatical.
Or going door to door?
Yeah.
Everybody does that. I mean, the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts, they go door to door and sell cookies, you know, it's like, it's the most normal thing to do. You go door to door. The only areas where I would not go door to door is where it's dangerous, you know, like ghettos, slums, favelas, like places where it's not advisable. Or sometimes you have gated communities or neighborhoods which are very upscale, with a lot of security and a lot of restrictions, and it becomes very difficult to move. But in mid-range, kind of normal environments, or single houses, best is even row houses or small apartment buildings with like 4, 6, or 8 kind of condominiums in there, super easy, super chill. So, Harm?
Just make a comment, you know, not just going door to door solo is a little risky.
Well,
and anybody, I mean, I'm not saying, but at least in my experience, I mean, I've got people opening the door totally naked. I've got people saying, well, just come on in, you know, this and that. You can tell the vibe is really bad. And I've almost had my teeth knocked out. So, you know, I don't want to discourage people. It's quite different in Italy. I'm in America, you know.
Yeah.
Just in any, not even a slum, you know. Guys, just knock on any door, any apartment door. This guy opens up totally naked. Come on inside.
Yeah.
You know, and even if they don't have clothes on, there's so many people that just want.
Thank you for sharing.
It's a listener for lunch. Oh my God.
Well, if you're a lady, maybe you go in groups, like Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons, they always go in pairs. So if you're not comfortable going alone, go in pairs. Okay?
Maybe just say, you know, if somebody invites you in.
No, if somebody invites you in, don't go inside. Just stay at the door. Caution. Stay at the door, give him the book. Don't go into people's places. You know, I have a friend, his name is Satyadev Prabhu. He's a Prabhupada disciple and a spiritual master in ISKCON. And he worked for the San Francisco Fire Department as a paramedic for more than 20 years on an ambulance, driving around the whole city of San Francisco. And he said the first lesson that they teach you as a paramedic, you know what it is?
Save yourself. Save yourself and be careful.
It's called job safety. Because a dead paramedic can help nobody. Job safety. You have to secure the premise. Because they come in when there's accidents, when there is people wounded, when there's people dead. They, you know, suicides, all kinds of disasters. They have to go there. So zone safety. You have to know what is dangerous and what is safe. Confirmed. So you have to learn that. And not the hard way, but the smart way. So thank you, Parameshwar, for bringing it up. Not every country in the world is as intense as some are, but you just have to be aware that there are certain dangers and you should not expose yourself to them. So that being said, I would still like to commend you. Door to door is one of the easiest, one of the greatest, one of the best ways of how to distribute Prabhupada's books. You know why? People are at home. People are in their own turf, their own territory. For the most part, people are relaxed. Are you guys chill when you're at home, when you're in your own environment? Much more than you're on the street, right? When you're on the street, you just want to go places, get things done, you know, parking is expensive, the kids are screaming, you have an appointment. But when you're at your own place, you're just relaxed. So when you meet people in their homes, it's one of the best environments to actually give them Prabhupada's books. So try it out and see how it works. We, in Switzerland, is a population of 7 million people. We used to go to every door every 2 years in the whole country. And in a population of 7 million people, we're giving out more than 2 million hardcover Big and Malbig books. So every house has a book, practically speaking. The books are out there. Now it's just a matter of picking the right fruits and cultivating people and making them into devotees. So, and there is no limit to that. It's like when you take some hand cream and you put it on your hand, and you wait for a few minutes and it's gone, and you can put some more cream. And you wait a little bit and it's gone, and you can put some more cream. Have you ever tried? It actually works. So you can put unlimited amounts of books into an area, because people move around, and people die, and new people come, and kids get old. Yes, Mark?
Ask a random question, maybe not to you, because Switzerland's probably a unique
civic experience. But is it worth going to, you go walk a ways to get to a house as opposed to an apartment complex?
Oh, it is worth it. It is
outside of Switzerland, though, because Switzerland, they got so much money.
No, it is worth it. It's always worth it. Even if, I used to do farms where you have to drive, because it's a farm, and it's far, but it's worth it. It's really great. People are so excited, they're so happy. You came all the way to my house? I used to do, for more than 10, 15 years, I used to just do companies, businesses, and industries in a car, just driving around. All the industrial areas around the cities, and countrysides. And it was exciting. It was wonderful. Anaka, please.
One thing, I had some problems in my knee some years ago. So
there's a chair there.
So I started to use the bicycle, and now my bicycle is always with me, my motorhome. And with bicycle, sometimes I go in the countryside, these farms, far away. Nobody goes there, not even the Jehovah's Witnesses. And it's great. It's really nice. I mean, it's not marathon, because, you do one mantra and then you do the other mantra after 10, 15 minutes. But the people they are in their comfort zone, and especially in the countryside, they are really, nice and peaceful. And there is a good chance to give full set of books to these people.
And oftentimes, as book distributors get older, if you're younger, you like to walk the street, you like to meet a lot of people and have a lot of interaction. But as you get older, like past the 50, Mark, some devotees just like it, to have a little more, peaceful and a little more relaxed type of Sankirtan experience. Yes?
Prabhu, isn't it trespassing in the U.S.?
Trespassing is a big word, because basically you can be anywhere, and if you're chill, if you're Krishna conscious, you're okay. And you can be anywhere, and if you're not in good consciousness, it's not okay. So we have been in many places which were completely illegal, but because we took shelter of the process. Remember the example I gave about the little fish who can swim upstream? And the big elephant, even though very strong and very bold, get washed away by the water? You may have a permit. You may be completely legitimate, but because your consciousness is not good, you simply meet resistance, obstruction, and fight. But if your consciousness is proper, you can do books pretty much in any place, in any situation. But of course, some people...
Dogs.
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 Yes, if you hear dogs, Anaka, what do you do with dogs?
Take precautions.
Well, with dogs you have to be very careful, don't trust them, because they are also in their comfort zone, and this is their house. I was just translating this morning a lecture of Srila Prabhupada about dogs and hogs and like that, and he was saying that the dog is barking and making offenses because he's loyal to the master. So we have to be careful with dogs. We have to be neutral with them. Don't be obnoxious, and don't try to make friends, and don't. Also, if there is the gate and a certain distance the house, and in between there is a dog, or might be a dog because there is a sign. Also, if they open the gate, don't go in. You just wait until they come out from the house, because sometimes the dogs are very tricky. I got bitten many times. I know dogs, and I know how to deal with them. One time, one time they opened and I went in, and all of a sudden I felt a presence, and just he touched me, and it was this big. It was a German Shepherd. He came from behind. He was not barking. That's really. But because I'm used to it, I had German Shepherd when I was young. I just said, "Oh, you're a big boy," and I just patted him like this on the side. And he looked at me like this, and he went away. and the lady came out, and he said, "Oh, you're in! The dog, the dog, the dog!" And then I said, "I already met him," and he went away. So it turned out that this dog bit everybody, the priest, the postman, everybody. He was really a ferocious dog. No, somewhere around there, Krishna was...
Don't scare everybody, okay? I told you, don't scare this
No, just to confirm that, if you are concentrated and, sometimes really Krishna...
Hey, what's the worst thing that can happen, right? What's the worst thing that can happen? Huh? I mean, Lord Nityananda got hit on the head with a pot by Jagai. So, yes, if you're out there on the front lines, believe it or not, sometimes you may have to take a punch or two. But if you're Krishna conscious, you're smart, you can deflect, you can avoid. Like sometimes people say, "No trespassing, get out of here," say, "Oh really? Oh, excuse me, thank you," and you just leave. It's not a problem, Just don't be confrontational. And people and dogs, not so much different. Sometimes they bark, sometimes they bite, sometimes they just leave you alone. But the dogs will bark, but the caravan will move on. So don't become discouraged or distracted or intimidated because of one person who starts making some noise. After a while, it actually becomes quite exciting, People say whatever they want to say. Sometimes they say nasty things, and you're like, really? There is still people like you. I can't believe it, You really made my day. I thought you guys are long gone, It's like, because formerly, back in the days, we used to meet much more obstruction. People would be much more, But now, it's mostly positivity or neutral type of attitude. So, don't become worked up about it, but just be smart. Door to door, please. Use it. Especially in some countries it gets very cold, but if you're inside these apartment blocks, you can actually function, you can actually work it. In some places, the streets are almost impossible, but if you go door to door, it's quite nice. I've had a great time distributing books door to door. I remember the first time I went out was with devotees going door to door. And I was just carrying their books and watching how they interacted. And I learned from them. And I remember to this day, the first time I went out door to door, my first day, you want to know how many books I distributed? Yeah. 5 books. Went out all day, and one lady took 3 books, and 2 other people took 1 book each. And I came back in the evening, and I was glowing. I was like, it works, it works, it works. And then my Sankirtan leader, Rohini Sura Prabhu, he asked me, so how did it go? And I told him, and he said, wow, one lady took 3 books, huh? So why don't you give her the set? The Bhagavatam set. And I said, I didn't have any set. He said, tomorrow you go back to her and you bring her the set. So the next day, I go back to the same door, and I knock on the door, and she opens and she says, hi. I said, yeah, hi, you remember me? She said, yeah, you're the guy from yesterday. I said, yeah, but I'm really sorry, I forgot to show you that, for the very special people, we have something extraordinary. So yesterday I didn't have it, but today I have it. So can I show it to you? She said, sure. And I just put all the books out, and she paid, and she took the whole set. And I was like, wow, this works, This works. If you just act under authority, you just follow the guidance of your leader, it works. We used to go to Rohini Sura Prabhu and take his feet and put them on our head and take his blessings, and we say, okay, how many books should I distribute? And he said, 200 books. I said, what, only 200 books? Okay, 300 books. And we go out and distribute 300 books. Why? Because we believed in the instruction of our authority. Do you believe in the instructions of your authority? Yes. Some are shaking their heads. You got to have faith. If you don't have a leader, you don't have a commander, take Prabhupada, take your spiritual master, take Lord Chaitanya. You got to have faith that this mission is going to be successful. Otherwise, if you go out there and you're doubtful, you're scared, you're insecure, it's going to be hard. Very few books will go out. So, Krishna tells Arjuna, what does he tell him in Bhagavad Gita? Nimitta Matram Bhavasavisachi. Go out there, fight this fight, not for yourself, but for me. Huh? It's not about victory or defeat. These people are already dead. But you can go and get the credit. These books are already distributed. But you can get the credit. Do you want to take the credit? If you don't, somebody else will. If you don't, somebody else will. And we've been talking to generations and generations of devotees in different places. So it's really up to us. Whether we want to take this opportunity, it's a great service opportunity. It can make a difference in the world. So plenty of doors out there, just walk around in your neighborhood. You don't have to drive very far. And cultivate the people. And then you can connect them, you can have a weekly program at your home or at the temple, and you can invite them. Because it's walking distance, it's very close. So don't try to go too far. Doors are everywhere. And some areas are better, some areas are tougher. We used to just go everywhere and do every door. Thank you, Anaka. We already had streets and we had door-to-door. What's the next most popular place for distributing books? Universities. Okay. You have a friend here? Are you still my friend? Yes. Just checking. Huh? You can come up here so that we can online and see you. Just tell them how it works.
Where is he at?
I don't know, but he will tell us.
Oh.
Right now he's right here.
So, university book distribution. Say you're at the University of Massachusetts and you have your books and you're walking down any of the streets, any of the sidewalks on the university campus. You park your car, you load your bag, and you go, and you're walking, and then you see some students. And you just say, put your hand up and you say, hey, are you a student here? And then you say, yes. I say, oh great. And then I take the books and I put them right here.
You got a book here on the table.
I take the book, I usually have it in my hand, because I don't do side bags. I just have a rolling bag and I just keep the books in my hand. So I just say, are you a student here?
Yeah.
Oh cool, we're sharing books on meditation, yoga. I'm a traveling monk, try to help spread peace in the world. What do you study here? Botany, really? Wow, very interesting. Must be an intelligent fellow then. And then they say something like, oh, no, or yeah, I think I am. And he's going, oh, perfect. Okay, so this is, if I have two books, I have Science and Self-Realization on top or Perfection Yoga on top as the book with the English on it, because I find that actually if one of the introduction books are on top, people are more willing to take even all the books. So then I say, this one on top is the introduction book, whereas the other one's more of the ancient text. Helps attain higher states of consciousness. It helps get through stress. And I know you're an intelligent person, so if you'd like, you can take these. And we're not selling them like a store, we're just asking for a donation. Would you be willing to help with the donation? I'd be very grateful. And then he says something, well, I don't have any money. And I say, well, that's okay, you can use all sorts of things nowadays. In America, you can use this thing called Venmo or Cash App, which means they can send it to you electronically. Actually, most days, most of my donations come through that. We even ask for gift cards. In America, we have these things called gift cards, and people get them for Christmas, and then we gather them and we sell them to companies that give us a percentage. And also we have the Square, which is how they can give a donation on their phone. But I don't throw that all at them, you know, like, okay, we do this, because then the person gets a little fried out. So I assess the situation, and I notice some schools, they're more into like the electronic program.
How do you like distributing books on university campuses?
I like it.
Why do you like it?
Oh, well, because they're all young, and they're all open.
Okay, did you get that?
Yeah.
You want to meet young people, intelligent people, people who are studious, they like to read books, they like to learn about things, they still have their life ahead of them. Where'd you go?
University. University, yeah.
Thank you. Do you have universities near where you live?
Yes.
Where do you live, you know? You guys are...
So
there's universities everywhere.
So there's two ways to distribute books at universities, depending on the country. So in America, you would just basically go undercover, unless you have permission by the university to set up a table. Or if you live in California, you can just set up a table and no one's going to bother you probably. But you could walk around dressed like a student, and people usually won't give you any problem. I think only last 2 years, one person said I couldn't do it. So it's hardly ever happens as long as you're pretty, you know, if you're dressed well and you have nice relations with the people that make it. And then the other way you distribute books, like in Latin American countries, and I don't know about other countries in the world, but they come into the classroom and talk with a teacher, and then the teacher will allow them to distribute books to the whole class. And I don't
in
have
this way, they distribute hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books, sometimes in one day, by making announcements.
So I think
to the
maybe
whole
some
class.
devotees have done that. Who's done that in here? So have you ever done it?
No.
No?
I went to university, but...
You've done it. Should I ask him to say it? Because my side has done it, but maybe they have.
Thank you. Those of you, thank you so much. Those of you who are in these areas, in some countries it's possible, you can go straight into the class, talk to the teacher, make a presentation to all the students. I think India, Bangladesh, it can also work in certain areas. It's a very good way how to distribute many books. Did Srila Prabhupada want us to go to universities?
Yes.
Have you heard of the library party?
Yes.
They went and they gave standing orders, full sets of Prabhupada's books, and they traveled all over the world. And Prabhupada was so pleased because he said that I've written these books especially for the intelligent people. He wanted every school, every library, every university, every professor. He said every gentleman or lady should have a full set of my books. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of room for book distribution. So scout out the schools that you have in your area, and sometimes, like he was mentioning, a top Ivy League, high-level school, sometimes those schools are not the best. People are a little proud, they're a little difficult. Sometimes it's easier to go to a community college or to like a local, regional school where people are less driven and ambitious and proud. So you can do all kinds of schools. There is also art schools, drama schools, theater schools, business schools, medical schools, law schools. There's all kinds of schools. And you will see how you can just go there and interact with the students, and they're fresh minds, They're open. They're here. They want to learn. They're used to reading. It's just a matter of being at the right place at the right time. And yes, oftentimes they have less money than the average working person. But that's not a problem, because we're not doing this for money. We're doing this in order to give people an opportunity. And they have not yet settled in their ways. They're still looking for their path. They're still, trying to figure out where is this whole thing going. You know how many people are drifters? They're in school, but they don't really know, is this going to be my thing? Am I going to be doing this for life? Okay, I'm here right now. You ask them, are you interested in this? Or are you just doing it to please your parents or to make some money? And you just got to have a little sensible discussion, Like I have a friend from Slovenia who studied computers. but he never worked in it, you know. So it's like many students feel like that. And if you're there and you give them the opportunity, hey, check this out, you know, this might be something for you. Believe it or not, they will actually read it. And many of them will become devotees. So please go to the schools. It's a humble request. Yes, Parameshwar, and then you got two here.
Well, this is pretty much what I do 2/3 of the time for the last 2 decades. It's just going to universities.
For the last 20 years, 2/3 of his time, when he's not doing concert tours, he goes to the university campuses.
So just a little tip of advice, real practical. At least almost everywhere in America, at least, it's probably other places. If you don't have permission, just keep walking around. You know,
Keep moving, don't just stand stationary.
In one place for more than 20 minutes-ish, somebody, pretty good chance, can call on you, and then the police come out, and they tell you can't come back here, and take you here, arrest you. So then you got your only, you got 3 schools to work in your town.
Better don't burn them.
Yeah, so just keep walking around. You know,
And
so
also
people
don't
see
go, thank you, Parm, and also don't go the same day after day to the same school, okay? So change it up, change your routine. Don't always stand in the same place, don't always go to the same school. You got to mix it up. Otherwise people will start noticing you, people will start following you, and people will start objecting to your presence there. So use your intelligence. Krishna has given you intelligence, right? Buddha Yoga. He's given you this ability to discern. So use that in His service. Yes?
Do older people buy books?
Yes, but oftentimes we have a rule on campus that you don't distribute to staff, employees, or teachers, because they're the ones who can get you in trouble. Am I right or am I right?
Yeah, if you don't have permission, don't call them.
But in general, do older people buy books?
On the campus?
No, not university, everywhere.
Of course.
Yeah,
Of course. Especially door to door. Most of who you meet is older people because they're home. And they buy books. Very much so. If you're able to talk to them in a nice way and behave in a nice way, they will be very happy to take something and to give you something. But on the campus, you're looking for the students. So you ask people, like he did, do you go to school here? If they say no, just say, have a nice day. Why? Oh, we're just talking to the students. We're making a promotion, you know, like that. In this way, you're not running into any obstruction. I know even in India, saffron is not appreciated on the college campuses. You cannot go into the schools in saffron to preach because school administration is very much against that. So they set up bases outside of the college campus, bases where students live and practice Krishna consciousness, and then the students do the preaching on the campus, and they do the canvassing and the invitation, and they bring the new recruits to the base, and there the saffron brahmacharis are training people, but they're not even going on the campus. So you have to know what works and what doesn't work. So universities, please do the schools. It's really great. It's a lot of fun. Okay, next we got one more category before lunch. Shopping malls. How many shopping malls are there? Are people shopping in this world?
Yes.
So why not go meet people who are out there to buy things, they have money, and they got time, and just meet them where they want to be in the mall. How many of you have distributed books at malls? How'd you like it? It's crazy, it's fun. Some of us were not so excited by it. Honestly speaking, it's a mixed bag. But it's a sure gig. There's always people at the mall. I can guarantee you that. You know, shopping will go on. I can guarantee you that. And they're willing to buy things. And if you're nice, they will buy your product too. In some countries, like I was in South Africa, and on the streets it was kind of difficult in many ways, but if you're inside a mall, it's like a whole city. You know, they build these big malls nowadays, these big places. And you can just roam around in there and talk to people and distribute books all day. And it works. Again, security, and you know, to keep on moving, yes?
I've done this many times. If you go to the mall and you don't have permission, you have to get a shopping bag of one of the stores in the mall, and you put your books in that, and you walk around and you talk to people. You take the books out of the bag and distribute them that way.
So you look like a regular shopper. Like on university campus, you dress and you look like a regular student. And you wear one of these rolly bags and a little baseball cap, and you're just a regular person. You fit into the environment. We have done malls and parking lots of malls for decades. And some of us, personally, including myself, have overdone it, so we're kind of done with it. But those of you who are still excited, yes, by all means, go to the mall and distribute books there. One thing you will find that on regular weekdays, you will find a lot of housewives, a lot of women who go there for shopping. And if you want to catch the younger crowd, you've got to go either in the evening or on the weekends. Because otherwise they're at school or they're at work. So after some time, you'll figure out what type of crowd. I really loved those stores where people buy construction equipment.
Home Depot?
Home Depot?
Lowe's,
yeah, Lowe's, Home Depot, all the places where they just buy, you know, tools. So you have the single guys that go there with their utility vehicle and they're like, you know, just simple, salt of the earth, straightforward people, and you can give them books. Yes, Primo. Microphone.
Also, something that I done in the shopping malls is to go to specific times when there's no much customers, and I also give books to the sellers inside each
shop.
Shop to shop, yeah. They are very quiet, and there are like 5, 6 in each store, and I, in a good mood, I give some incense and I start speaking to them. Nobody in the, no customers, like 10:30, 11, that's good time to go.
Nice, nice.
It works.
Just open the registers. Chaitanya, right over there.
No, about this point of dressing like people in the place, that's very important when you do any kind of place that is closed. I was doing this in the airport. I was dressing like someone that was traveling, and I was doing the whole marathon inside the embarking terminal. Not outside, inside, where people are waiting to take the planes. I would just buy a ticket, every day I would buy a cheap ticket, I would enter there with the books, I would go
a flight ticket?
Flight ticket, to enter inside the terminal.
Yeah, so every day you would buy a flight ticket?
Every day, cheap tickets, not expensive tickets. Of course the collection would more than pay for it. So I would come early in the morning, I would put the books in these lockers that they have outside, like several boxes there.
You see, you learn all the tricks here. He's the biggest right now. How many books last year?
I don't know.
100,000?
I don't know. So I would take one box, like in these cars.
Trolley, yeah.
Trolley. Go to the bathroom, and then inside the bathroom would have one like shoulder bag and one smaller bag, like this
briefcase.
Not briefcase. These small
trolleys. Yeah, carry on.
That you can
roll it back.
Carry on. That you can get inside. So I would put, it would fit one full box into these 2 foods. I would go to security, I would be distributing to people inside. I would get out, take more books, because the ticket would be valid for the whole day. So I could get a ticket for the evening, and then I would start from the morning doing this. And if you dress and you behave like a person that is going to travel, and you look confident, I think that's another point that's important. If you keep looking around like this, they see that there is something wrong with you, and they go to you. But if you look very confident, there are security guards, they pass through you, and they somehow or other they think that is normal, because you are acting confidently. Someone told me that that's how policemen they identify people that are criminals. They look to people that are like uneasy, and they go and check them. So if you look like confident, they tend to not
noticing too much. There's two things that I learned.
Thank you for sharing. Now, in some places, you can go in dhoti and kurta. You do dhoti kurta? Normal, like this, right? Yeah. India, all these places where people are more cultured, they will appreciate if you come in Vaishnava dress. But in the West, for the most part, unless you're in an environment where it's appreciated, don't worry, you put pant and shirt. Even Prabhupada mentioned, let me read you a letter or two. You can go dressed as a gentleman because it will be easier to travel in this part of the world. What is the use of a wig? Keep regular gentleman's hair. There is no need of saffron dress. If by ordinary dress you can sell more books, there is no need of saffron dress. It doesn't mean we'll be in the temple in pant and shirt. It means when we're out on the street doing book distribution, you may have to put pant and shirt. Like I'm in San Francisco, and when I'm up in Haight-Ashbury, which is like the hippie area, and a lot of tourists are there, I'm in dhoti and kurta because people like it. But when I'm downtown in the business district with the suits, I go in pant and shirt. Because there it's very hard, very difficult to stop people in dhoti. So you have to figure out what works best. How do you figure it out? Try. Just gotta try it out. Trial and error. And at some point you'll realize there is not really that much difference. Not that much difference. In Italy, you can just go anywhere in dhoti. It's completely accepted. You know, you're a monk, you're a priest. Southeast Asia, monks, priests, everything's fine. And in other places, the most important thing is that you're comfortable doing it. If you're comfortable wearing it, the person is comfortable in talking to you. But if you're not comfortable wearing it, then they will sense, like you mentioned, that something is wrong here. This person is not supposed to be here like that. So airports, it can be done, but it's a little bit like special ops. It's not for everybody because there's a lot of pressure and surveillance. So some of you may get excited by this. Some of you are frightened by this. You know, I don't want to do this. So see what works for you. But a lot of books got distributed in the airports, and people, when they travel, you know, they take books and they read books. Parking lots. How many parking lots are there? How many cars are there in the world? Too many, right? Too many. There's zillions of them. And there's parking lots everywhere. So wherever people park a car, we used to go and distribute books, literally speaking. There's parking lots underneath the earth. Can you imagine? They dig in the ground and they put cars under the ground. Can you imagine? Multiple level car parks under the ground, up to like 10 levels. And even outside it may be snowing and cold, -30. Down there it's so hot from all the exhaust, from all the fumes of the cars, that you can walk around in a bathing suit. It's so hot there. But the fumes are a little poisonous, so you should not stay there for too long. But some of those parking lots were so good, it was like the Talavan forest. The fruits are too sweet to resist, but Dhenukasura and his friends are always roaming around. So there's a lot of security. I remember we were running from security, and when we were young, we had a lot of fun playing, you know, hide and seek and running around. And you learn how to run in between cars so people can Now, while we're a little older, in our middle age, we're less excited by this kind of activity. But if you still have the fire and the drive, parking lots, by all means, go for it. You know, people, they have a car, means they have money. They have a place where to put the books. They're usually by themselves. You can have a sensible chat. There's certain things to be aware of. Don't intimidate people. Be careful not to get hit by cars. And know your limits. Don't, you know, health is a concern. And we'll speak more about that tomorrow. Long-term vision. Certain types of book distribution are temporary. Like festivals. They're not always on. So you have to know what you can do at what part of the day. And at one point, when you have reached your quota, when you feel like, okay, I've done enough malls, I've done enough parking lots, then it's time to move on to a different scenario. So don't get attached. and think, you know, I have to be here and do this for the rest of my life. And all of a sudden your car park is gone. Like they build a whole big department store there, and you become depressed, you know, because scenarios, times change. So you have to be adaptable. You have to go with the situations. I remember in Buenos Aires we used to distribute books outside the tribunale, where the doctor, you call them the lawyers, you know, and people buy books. So you can literally distribute books in any situation. But this afternoon, after lunch, we will discuss about what drives your engine, the inspiration. The forms are always changing, but the substance is always the same. So at 12:15, we'll get more into different types of book distribution. So think about which ones you want to hear about. These were the main categories. Now we'll slightly touch also about a few of the minor categories that could be interesting to you to distribute books. So please be back at 12:15. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Krishna, welcome back. So this is Prabhupada speaking about door-to-door Sankirtan. Your program of door-to-door Sankirtan is very encouraging. The more men understand the importance of our movement, the more they will invite us to their homes and clubs, because Krishna consciousness is a life-giving ambrosia. So increase this program more and more, and we shall be able to distribute all our books, which is even more important than membership. Of course, if we can do both at the same time, that is best. While going door to door, I was always inspired by the example of Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur, who went door to door, knocking on people's doors, and asking them, Bhaja Krishna, Bolo Krishna, Koro Krishna Shika. Please chant Hare Krishna, worship Krishna, serve Krishna, follow his instructions. So this is our tradition. This is what people have been doing in all religious traditions all over the world. Now, we spoke about streets, we spoke about door to door, we spoke about airports, parking lots, and we had a request to hear about Harinam, Sankirtan, and book distribution. Who is experienced in distributing books at Harinams? You have experience in that? Okay, who would like to share their experience in that? Okay, in the back, we need a microphone. Please give him the mic. Please stand up and come in front here and tell us how you distribute books during Harinam. Not so much what you say, but more how do you do it. Because there's a lot of things going on in Harinam. So how do you distribute books when there is Harinam? Yeah.
Hare Krishna. The special thing when you do books on the Harinam is that when you give a book, they also get a taster of what the book is going to give you.
But who do you approach? Because there is the chanting party, and then there is a few people who just stopped, and there's a few people who stand a little further away, and there is some people who are just walking by. So which one do you talk to?
The best people is the people who already stopped because they're the most right. But if Krishna inspires you, you can...
So when do you approach them? When do you approach them? Immediately when they stop, and immediately you target them, or you wait for some?
No, you leave it for a little bit. Let them... You let them get a bit more...
taste.
Yeah, taste.
How long you leave
energy. You just by looking, if you see they're getting very into it, then you know they're ready.
You get this?
But some people, they're looking at it, but they're not sure. They're like, what the hell is
It's
this?
a very important point. When you do Harinam and people stop, and immediately somebody attacks them, other people are watching. Oh, if I'm going to stop, they're also going to attack me. So don't do that, okay? You just have to casually move around and talk to different people. But if people just stop, let them stop there and enjoy the chanting and you know, get some exposure. Okay?
And you can always, normally when you stop people without anything, it's harder because, you know, sometimes you you only want to say this and that, especially if you're new to book distribution. But when you have a Harinam, even if it's your first time, it's very easy to explain what the books are about. Because you just say, this book is teaching you how to become happy by chanting like these people.
It's easy because you can just point at the chanting group and say, look, this is a practical proof. It works. Look at these people, it works. Okay? So you read this book, you're going to become happy like these people here.
And if you talk about this book is about happiness, so many things, but you're alone, then they're basing, everything you're claiming, they're basing it on your personality. Especially if you're new, maybe you're not so confident, you're a bit shy, maybe you're not so strong. But when you have a Harinam, then they're not only basing the proof of the book based on you, but also on the whole Harinam. So it's much more powerful, and the people often feel much more inspired when they see a big group of people and they're all dancing and happy.
And as a book distributors, you realize that you depend on the chanting party. You depend on how vibrant, how blissful, how focused the chanting is. If they go like Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, will anybody buy a book? No. They'll take one look at that and think like, dude, if I'm going to buy this book, I'm going to end up like these guys. I don't want to become like these guys. But if they see like, you know, men and ladies dancing, dressed nicely, good energy, happy, smiling faces, they're like, wow, this is beautiful. This is attractive. This is aesthetic. Carry on.
And the very powerful thing when you do books on the Harinam is that automatically they ask much more questions as well. Because when you give a book, unless they're very philosophical, they may not be inclined to ask questions. But because of the Harinam, it's easy for them to have many things to be curious about. So automatically they're hearing, inquiring, learning a lot. So it's more in depth for them, the experience.
What are some of the challenges that you face on the Harinam? Doing books with the Harinam.
The main logistical challenge when you do books on the Harinam is if it's a walking Harinam, you always have to run after the Harinam, which is a big problem.
It's a big problem. So you have to be in sync. You have to coordinate with the Harinam leader that you guys go slow, okay? Because like I remember in London, the Harinam would just run, you know? And you sell a book and then you gotta catch up. And I'm not from there. I get lost, you know? Like half a dozen times I have to go back to the temple because I lose these guys. And it's embarrassing. It's just not nice. But they're just running through town, you know? And I keep on telling them, guys, slow down. Just take your time. But they're, no, we want to do the whole city, you know? So they're just running wild in a big circle. The best thing is, if the Harinam leader exactly knows what he's doing, he exactly knows where he's going, and he just goes up and down the main street in a moderate, slow motion, and you have time to actually go along with the Shivan book.
In our Harinam group, Vishnujan, who is our leader, Harinam Ruchi, he never, for instance in London, he never deviates from the route generally. He always does the same route every day. That way it's harder to get lost. And he always is looking behind. And he's not the singer, he plays Mridanga and he kind of coordinates the Harinam, but he's always looking behind, and if someone has disappeared, he says, wait. So at least 5-10 times in the Harinam, he makes us wait, you know, if you're a musician, for the book distributors to come.
So it's teamwork, it's synchronicity. People
you have to be very aware of everyone.
Be aware of everybody in the team. What are some of the other challenges on book distribution along with Harinam?
Sometimes, if it's people who are a little bit envious, or a little bit antagonistic to the Harinam, then they'll be antagonistic to the books, you know. But sometimes when I give books, and it's like a Muslim looking at me with a very angry face, like, what is this? Or maybe someone's like, this is religious. If you're alone, then you can package it in a different way, you know. But when you're with the Harinam, then you have to present it in that way. Sometimes if it's a Muslim, I say this book about how to become more deep in knowledge about yourself, how to find out about your soul. But if it's with the Harinam, then they know, okay, this is Hare Krishna.
Challenge.
Yeah, but apart from that, I can't do anything.
Okay, questions?
You can't be subtle, you know, like go in calmly dressed and pretend like it's just a book about yoga meditation with a bunch of shaven head.
I mean, you know, people come and they ask me sometimes, so are you the Hare Krishnas? I say, what, do I look like Santa Claus? Or what do you think I am? I mean, who do you think I am, right? So you have to be confident. You have to be convinced that this is the right thing to do, and this is the right place to be. Another challenge that you may face on giving Sankirtan seminars is side talks, when people talk on tables, and also on the street when you do books with Harinam. Sometimes the Harinam is a bit loud, and if you get too close to the loudspeaker, people may not hear you, or you may blow out your voice. So you may have to be a little conscious in which area you want to move, not too close and not too far away. Like with the mic, you have to be in a certain range, okay? So you have to figure out your range, how close and how much you can move away from the Harinam. So people will still hear, but they can hear you also, and they can connect with you. Any other realizations you'd like to share?
Because sometimes to stop people is very hard, no? Especially if you're in like a heavy country, like in Japan, it's very hard to stop people, right? But with the Harinam, I would at least double the amount of books than alone.
You heard that? With Harinam, he doubles the amount of books.
And connection maybe 4 times more, 4 or 5 times more.
Do you want to double your book distribution? Yes. Create a Harinam team and, you know, have book distributors go out.
People who are very shy, if you stop them one-on-one, especially if you're a foreigner, they're a bit shy, especially if they don't speak English, like especially in Japan and China, people are very shy. You try to offer them a book and they run away sometimes. Unless you can speak the language. But with the Harinam, it's very easy. And even if they don't really know what it is, or they don't really like maybe to read, but they just want to help you. So sometimes on the Harinam, people just give you a donation, then you can give them a book afterwards.
Very nice.
So it brings more categories of people who generally wouldn't come from normal book distribution.
Yes.
There's another thing that I figured out works really well with Harinam. There's often There's another thing that I figured out that works really well during the Harinam book distribution is because when you're in Harinam, there's usually people with cameras pointing at you, trying to make recordings or take photos. So I just go to them, approach them, and try to tell them, would you like to take a photo? Or photo like a picture with me or something. So they get a little comfortable, and it's like, oh yeah, sure, why not? Then I show them the books as well, so they're into taking the books as well.
Thank you. There was one Russian lady here in Mayapur. She used to dress up and put a lot of face paint. You remember her? She was standing in front of Long Building and people just wanted to take a picture and then they took a book. That's her deal, how she did it. And she did hundreds of books, like big time book distribution. So you can do tons of books with Harinam. Tons of books. I mean, it's so powerful. If people hear the chanting, it just touches their heart. It just captivates them. And then they see the devotees. And then they become enthused and their body starts moving along the sound vibration. And then they meet a devotee and they give him a book. Yeah.
At the Gainesville Krishna House, we do a lot of Harinam in a place called Midtown, and there's like all bars and party places for people. And they also, some of them we do books. And it's hard to do books there because the people, you know, they're out partying, they don't have anywhere to put the books, and they're not really into philosophy when they're drunk, you know. So do you have any advice for that?
Yeah, find a different place.
It's such a good place for Harinam, because everybody dances with you.
Yeah, but if you want to do books, you might go to a different venue. I remember in China, we were in a big park where all the people came out in the evenings. And we're just sitting down, and the devotees were playing nice Harinam. And people saw like this total new thing to them. But because it was a cultural presentation, they were very attractive. And a lot of books went out. So you just have to know some places are good for chanting, some places are good for books, some places are good for both. So mix it up. Just have a variety of activities devotees, and don't limit yourself. And if you're already adjusted in your mind, you already know this place is going to be like that, then it's not so difficult. So it's just a matter of knowing your scenario and your options. But by all means, prema and then in front of you.
Hare Krishna. So something else that you can do during the Harinam is distribute some prasadam, like cookies. That's very powerful because you can stop people giving some nice prasadam and give some invitations, some flyers for the temple, some program. So people will stop and then you can introduce the book, and that's a very powerful thing also that we do in Argentina and very well.
Thank you, Prema. In front of you.
It depends on where you are, but we do books in Harinam in Boulder, Colorado, and you can actually sit down on the walking street. So we do a sit-down Harinam, and then we have like 4 book guys on each corner. So it really helps with practically, you don't have to run around, and it's really nice.
Wonderful, thank you. At ISV, it's in Silicon Valley. We go to a place just off the road, it's called Palo Alto, Facebook town. And right in the center of town, we get a permit from the city, and we have the top spot in the city. On Main Street, there's a square where the musicians are, and you can rent that place for very little money. And we bring out like 70, 80, 100 devotees, sit down Harinam, loudspeakers, they bring out the deities, they bring out book tables, they serve out a big feast. And then there's like 20, 30 book distributors going in all 10 directions, including kids. Like shoot anything that moves, just the whole town gets involved. And it's huge, it's massive.
And it's in different languages also.
Different language books also they have. You can give the mic over, Premi.
How often you do this in Silicon Valley? How often you do?
Once a month. Once a month. And book distribution on Harinam is the easiest way how to learn book distribution. Most of us have learned books on Harinam. So if you want to introduce new devotees, new people to the experience of book distribution, take them on Harinam, but make sure they get a positive experience. We were in Wimbledon, outside of London. You know where they play tennis? And we had, on a square, we had also some tables with some books, and the congregation was there, and we had a bowl of cherries and a bowl of strawberries. Strawberries is a big thing there for me. So everybody stopped and they took fruits. And many people took books also. So having prasadam, holy name, and books together, boom! Nuclear fusion. You bring these 3 together, you can blow them out of the water. One guy also goes on a bicycle, right? Yes. Tell him. You're going to speak in your mic. Turn it down.
There's a boy in our group, or former member of our group, who, because when we have a walking Harinam, it's a challenge to catch up. So he innovated and he started using a bike, like a fold-up bicycle. And also sometimes it's not so good for health to have a big like bag of books on your back, and sometimes people use a trolley, but he has like a basket on the front of his bike, so he used to distribute out of that.
Is he doing well?
Yeah, he does a lot of books.
He does a lot.
And he has a flag, like a camping, you know, like camping pole, so it's a fold-up pole, and on the top there's a flag, like spiritual books, yoga, meditation, vegetarianism, so people can see it from far away.
He's here doing.
And it looks very efficient, because there's like signs and everything. And on the side he even has, has a card machine, and he has like Visa sign, MasterCard. And when we go to Spanish-speaking countries, and he changes the sign to Spanish. When we go to different countries, he changes the sign.
Did you hear that about signs? Have signs. You know, when you have a book table, put a sign in front of it. Books on yoga, meditation, spiritual books. Put signs up.
Feels much more official.
Yeah. A friend from Slovenia, or you're just holding the mic? Great.
In Argentina, we also do Harinam once a month. Harinam, what's the name? Monthly Sankirtan Harinam Festival. So prasadam, books, and Harinam is going on. And one time was one Sankirtan devotee very experienced in Sankirtan, doing Sankirtan, Madhava Kirtan, you know him? Well, okay. So he was doing Sankirtan. He gave one book for a girl. First time she saw devotees, she took prasadam, she took a book. And after like 10 minutes, I saw this Mataji, new, like also giving books, distributing books to a lot of people. So the power of these festivals is like people that didn't know they want to serve also, and this devotee can empower her to also start Sankirtan in that day, and then she started going to Bhakti Vriksha program. Now she's devotee.
Wow. Thank you. So thank you. If you want to increase your book distribution, all of you, you're in temples, you're connected with congregations. If you ask people, do you want to come out on book distribution? Not so sure. If you ask them, you want to come out on Harinam? You want to do a festival? We're going to have prasadam, we're going to have music. Oh yeah, I'm coming. So, you can involve up to 100% of your congregation. I've seen in Russia where they're very expert in dressing up nicely, having nice dance, nice presentation, and the whole temple, the whole congregation goes out. Very colorful, very beautiful presentation. And the people are just amazed, they're just mesmerized.
In Vladivostok, that is not such a big yet. It's like far away, but a country close to the United States actually.
We can't hear you, you're going to speak in the mic.
In Vladivostok, that is the far east, like closer to United States than to Moscow. It's not a very big yard, but they have daily Harinams. Every day they go out on Harinam. In Moscow they have, I think, 3 or 4 times per week. They have a group that always goes on Harinam. They have very regular Harinams.
Yes, very successful. I know in Africa there is one devotee, he has sponsored different vans for different yatras who use them for Harinam. He's a wealthy person, so he wants to increase the Sankirtan. So now there's devotees who go out practically every day of the week to do Harinam. So by all means, do Harinam, make it happen wherever you are. It makes a difference in the world and it makes a difference in your own life. And even if you're a full-time book distributor, do Harinam once a week. It's really good. We used to do it in Switzerland, even in the heydays when we were doing like big, huge, massive scores. Saturday afternoon was Harinam. We would meet in one of the cities of the country, and all the devotees would converge together, and for 2 hours we would just have Harinam together and also distribute books there. And it was a great, experience to come together as a group and do something unified. So it's not just about me, my service, my score, but we go out together in strong forces, And I'm sure you've had similar experiences. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai! Okay, what's next? What else would you like to hear about? We got less than an hour. Book tables? Book tables. Madam Govinda is not here. We're going to do book tables a little later. Prem is doing book tables, right? You want to tell us what you do? You're going to come up front here.
Yeah.
Prem has been in LA for how long now? Mike.
15 years.
Yeah, he came with me. He's from Croatia. Very humble and gentle Vaishnav. Good old friend. He trusted me and he came together with me on a tour to America. And he never went back. He just stayed. And he's still there, and he's doing a lot of books. So book tables, how do you do it?
2 years ago, here was my English is second language, so I'm from Croatia. So Jai Chaitanya was here 2 years ago. He gave some seminar. So basically, I learned from him.
Where do you put your book tables?
I'm doing in schools and also in
college campuses. There is these walking paths in between the classrooms. There is this open area where everybody walks around, and then there's usually an area where different groups have different tables. So he just goes to the place where they have their table and he puts a table there. Or near the food court, right? Or near the library. Those are the three good spots.
And I think.
So what do? You just sit down and wait for people to
Okay,
come? Or
I used to do in front of the table with another session, but I find out is same thing like if you're going around and approaching friends, you have table behind, and I find out it's better to sit behind on a chair.
You're speaking the mic.
Yeah, still sit behind on a chair, and when people approach you, especially even if you start to put books on the table, they want to see what's going on. And we also have sign or yoga meditation, okay? And somebody who came, that means they're interested, these people are interested. So it's very easy. Actually, everybody can distribute books on the table, very easy. It's not anything, they just came, you just present the books, there's different kind of books. And I start sometimes with Bhagavad Gita or science civilization. And if they're interested, you pick up 3, 4, 5 more books. So I think everybody can do it. You just have to put the table and just see how it's work. And in some places, they speak very fast, everybody can understand. Language. Sometimes, in some places, you are allowed to do that. In some places, maybe you can try wherever you are. You just put a table and even professors, students are coming, officials, whatever, and when they see the table, they say, oh, okay, I think it's no problem, they don't ask for permission. So I think everybody should try wherever you are and see how it's work. Even if it's not like, you have to get permission, they don't give it, So it's very easy, it's very easy. If you never tried it, it's not difficult, not at all. And also sometimes sometimes when so many people pass by and you've been before already there, when I use this mic, what to learn, eye contact, and sometimes you just like shoulder, hello, books, yoga. Just make contact with people, it's fun, especially young kids, very easy. So it's,
Chaitanya, I have a question.
Yes.
Apart from the university, what places you put tables?
Which other places besides university?
Well, there is one special place in LA, it's like park, and they have what's called observatory. Very famous, close to Hollywood. Very famous people used to make a movie there, like Schwarzenegger, if you know.
Public places where a lot of people gather.
A lot of people, different people, tourists. And it's really a very special place. I mean, Chaitanya used to do a lot, Ananda Kirtan also. And last year I had the opportunity, so I did just something good. And it's all kind of people, and you'll be surprised. And you just make contact with any kind of people, and you're just nice, nice people. You feel a little bit wherever you are, and they just came and just explain what's about. And anybody can, if you're nice with them, if you explain nicely, nice contact, but everybody like here, today, last days also, and they appreciate it. It's not a big, not enough.
What kind of a table do you have?
A big table, like from here to here.
But it's foldable, you can pack it up.
But
you have a trolley, you have something?
Yes, some big trolley, you can arrange that, you can buy in America somewhere, you can buy everywhere. And I have my own car, and bring car, take out all these books. There's a lot of books actually, I put under the table, all these boxes. There is some authority who say you can put nicely, so you just follow that, And you just sit there and just enjoy,
Any questions?
Another one. About times, you are able to distribute like the whole day, or you distribute more like weekends?
Yeah. Depend, in that place, you are allowed to distribute until sunset. So in summer, sunset is so, so you can distribute like what you're doing, like 8 hours sometimes. When it's, winter, maybe like 4 or 5 hours. You don't have to start like 10 o'clock. And but still it is because a lot of people you can really do huge. And in school also, same thing. You know, colleges, even if you've been many times, always somebody came because you think you're not approaching people, just putting the table there. But all, you know, it's like many universities in the US, they have like 20,000 people, you know. So if you come again after 3-4 days, not every day, always somebody come, always.
Did you hear that? It's an interesting point. You may think, I'm sitting at a table, who is going to come? How many people can you talk to at the same time? One. So, there's always somebody at the table. I have watched them many times. All you can talk to is one person. So why not have quality interactions with people one-on-one and just deal with one person and then another person comes and then another person comes, rather than being out in the midst of a lot of people. It's a slightly different style of book distribution. You know what's good? In most of the countries of the world, there is something called freedom of speech. Have you heard of freedom of speech or freedom of religion? Yeah. You may have heard, you may not have heard, but in most of the countries of the world, you are allowed by law to share your idea with others. And there are areas which are designated, usually in the center of the city, for such kind of activities. So if you set up in the freedom of speech area, even the schools have such areas, nobody can touch you. You're perfectly legitimate. So you just have to behave nicely and not create any difficulty, but he looks like a nice gentleman.
Nice.
And people, you know, it's less pushy, it's a little more relaxed. Also, when you're older, you have a table, you have a chair, you don't need to carry stuff all the time, you don't need to run around all the time. So especially for people who are getting a little up there in age, it's a very good way of how to distribute books. I know even here in Mayapur, I see so many book tables, and they're doing good. They're doing good. Just by having a place in the right situation and being available, you can do a lot of distribution. So think about it and try it out. I'm sure some of you will like it. Yes?
I just have a question. So like when you were talking about dealing with one person at a time,
yeah.
In book distribution, when you have tables, usually you also see there's multiple people gathered around. So how do you deal with, so you're still talking to one person and explaining the books, so you just go to the next person, or like keep everyone interested?
No, sometimes like 4 or 5 people immediately, you know, come. And if they're not friends, so then, you know, I present, I like from Chaitanya, it's easy, you know, you just speak to everybody, look at everybody's face and say the same things. And if somebody is more interested, you start, you know, somebody is asking more question, you speak about him, to him. But in the same time, speak in the way, then everybody, you speak to everybody actually. And then listen to everybody, you know, and try actually also have contact with all of them. And sometimes, very important what you say, you know, is try to send away, then pray to Krishna, then everybody is interested, you know. And if somebody, you know, maybe you say something wrong, and you're basically really focused, sometimes just on one person, really you see if you want it to take. So, okay, so if somebody else go away, only at least you have that one person, or
one person buys, everybody buys.
Yes, and I said one person buys, it's easy that you can take, you know.
I learned this very young, when I was in the market with my mother, and there are these vendors, you know, like some of them, they're selling devices like for grading vegetables. Have you seen those people? Yeah. They have the microphone, and they're talking, and they're cutting vegetable, and they're making big show, and there's a lot of people standing around. You know what their strategy is? As soon as one person is interested, they sell them the product. And if one person buys, then immediately somebody else buys, somebody else buys. So if somebody shows interest, immediately sell them a book. Then the other people will see, oh, this is how it works. And they will also take the book. But if you focus on a negative or a critical person, and it goes sour, then everybody walks away. And you can practically lose the whole batch. They all just move on. and then you have to start fresh again with a new batch. So make sure that you focus on the positive people, and you actually give them a book and get that donation, and then you try to involve the other people too. Thank you. So book tip for distributing books. Also we have festivals, and in most of these events, in some of them you can walk around, but in most of them it's better if you have a booth. You make friends with the organizers, you ask for permit, you may have to pay a little bit of money, you make some connections, and they want you to be there. And you are there. What's that?
I just want to say something else.
Say it.
I forgot for Chaitanya learned from him. Actually, you said yesterday.
Turn it on.
Should be on. When I speak to people, I at least learn from him that it's very important when it's many people, you speak very, not so fast, and everybody can understand. It's very important. And what do you think about it, Navina? Because you said speed is not so much important. You can speak fast, you can speak, basically.
Whatever works. It's and you just have to be natural, but make sure people understand you, that you're audible.
At least for myself, I find out that I usually speak very fast in Croatia. We speak very fast, but when I start to speak very slow, in some senses, anyway, something like selling technique is easy to deal with people.
Thank you. So festivals, different other types of venues I mentioned. Try to get a permit, try to get connected with the organizers. It makes a world of a difference. I know devotees who are distributing tons of books, tons of prasadam, making millions of dollars going to festivals, literally speaking. So think about it. I know some friends in Bali, in Hindu areas, you have many festivals, right? Hindu festivals, Hindu calendar, people go to temples, Malaysia, Singapore, etc., etc. So if you're at the right place at the right time, people are very much in a good mood, you know. And if you're there with a book table, they will take a lot of books and they will give good donations. So have tables there. If you're just walking around, you can do a little bit. Prabhupada said, you can earn 100 rupees walking around and you can earn 200 rupees sitting down. I know it's hard for us, we're still a little passionate, you know. Like for me, you put me behind the table, I can't last very long behind the table. I get a little antsy, you know, a little bored. I want to get out there and, hey, come on, let's do this. So, but you figure it out. Book tables work great. Try it out. Also, when you have a Harinam, like a sit-down Harinam, have a table with books right next to the Harinam. Like in New York, they have that. They do the Harinam, and right next to it is a table with the books, and a lot of people just come off to the book table, and they start choosing books and giving donations like that. And it's a very attractive combination. So please, have book tables, okay? Yes?
I don't have a ton of experience, but in my town what I've seen is that people mostly come out at night. So if we want to do Harinam or book distribution, we have to be out pretty late, and this is sometimes not
a challenge.
Yeah. So
yeah.
What do we do?
So my advice is do it once a week and limit yourself. You're not going, you know, past a certain hour. You say, okay, we're going to do from 8 to 10, but then, you know, we're in bed by 10:30 because later than that, it just doesn't work. You have to have your regular routine. Otherwise, if you go past a certain hour every day, it becomes very difficult to do it for a prolonged period of time. Unless you're in a country where just nothing else works. I remember you mentioned Japan. I used to ship books in Japan, and we used to work the night shift. We start at 10 o'clock at night, and we'll go to 3 o'clock in the morning. Because in the daytime, you can't stop anybody. Because they're all just running, and they're texting on 2 phones simultaneously. Can you imagine? 2 phones texting simultaneously. And they have earphones in. So how are you going to talk to these people? So we went to the nightlight area, you know, Ginza, Shinjuku, and used to go there, red light districts, and where people would go out for partying, for drinking. And from 10 to 3 in the night, we would distribute. And then you come home, you do Mangalarti, and then you go to sleep, and you get up at noon, and you start chanting your japa, and your whole life becomes, you know. I mean, it's like working the night shift in a factory. How long can you do it? It's not so healthy, it's not so conducive. So for regular devotees, I suggest you try to find spots that you can work during normal day hours. And if there is that great spot that really is super fantastic, do it once a week. You know, Friday night or Saturday night when it's really big, you just go out there. But know how long you can last, and then it's time to go back. Okay, we're moving on. And temples. Temples is one of the most undervalued places for book distribution. Can you distribute many books in a temple?
Yeah.
Yes. Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Why? Why are you so sure about that you can distribute many books in a temple?
Because people are interested.
Because people already came to your temple. You're not approaching them, they're actually coming to you. But you know what often happens? We're just too busy. Have you ever been at a Sunday feast and you just saw the devotees sitting amongst themselves, talking amongst themselves, and stuffing their faces with big quantities of prasadam and having a real good time? And the guests were starting to talk amongst themselves, you know, networking and talking business and other stuff, because nobody had time to interact with them. It happens, right? So what to do? How to distribute books in a temple? Well, first of all, you're going to have books. You're going to have a book table. You're going to have a hospitality program. And you have to have devotees who know how to interact with people and talk to them. And then you can give many books. You can give sets of books. You can do huge just out of your temple. Yes? You got the mic.
Remember I was at one temple in Denver, another in Nidra. She goes around like a cart, a little cart, right? She still do that? She still goes around with a little cart and she passes out a little packet of Mahaprasad, and then she has her books. She goes to
very good.
Pretty much every person.
Yeah. Another thing that you can do at a temple is, how many of you have given the Sunday feast class? Please try to give a Sunday feast class at your temple. Okay. So I'm going to teach you a trick that will change your life. Are you ready? When you do the Sunday feast class, next to the Vyasa-san, you put a book table and you put all of Prabhupada's books there. You glorify the books, you speak about the Bhagavatam, you tell people about the benefit of these books, you speak from the books, and at the end you ask the question, the fatal question, how many of you have these books? And then 2 or 3 hands will go up, and 100 or 200 people will go like, no. So you say, look, today, because it's a special day, we're going to give you the opportunity to get a set of books at just cost price. And so who would like to have a set? I've had experiences in Chicago. I don't remember the exact amount. I think Chicago, 21 Bhagavatam sets, you know, at a Sunday feast. I mean, Vaisheshika Prabhu, he has done like 40, 50, 60 sets, you know, in Toronto and in other places. 20 sets at a Sunday feast lecture. You're like, what? What? Yeah, it's possible. These people are coming to hear Krishna Katha. Give them the books. Will ya? But if you keep the books in the book room, it won't happen. Yeah, it's a little endeavor. You have to drag that table and put it there, and drag those books and put them there, and then speak about the books. But it's blissful. And afterwards, people are like, you know, $200, $300. It's not really a money question. It's a question, where is your heart? Do you want them to get these books? Do you have faith that these books are going to change their lives? Again, we have made studies. Less than 10% of our congregation have all the books. Charity starts at home. If our own people don't have these books, if our own people are not reading these books, then what are we trying to do out there? That's my question. We're trying to chase after newcomers, but those who are already so-called committed devotees are not having or not reading the books. So something is wrong somewhere. So please, I urge you, I hound you, I beg you, I plead with you, bring out that book table and bring out the books. And you'll be surprised how many people take them. Prema, then Param, and then Chaitanya.
Yes. One time was December Marathon. They invited me to give the Sunday Feast lecture, and I was thinking, oh, I will lose one day of book distribution, so many hours. So I was.
Did you hear that?
A little concerned.
Does your mind ever tell you, I will lose? I will lose time. I will waste my time being at the temple, talking to the people.
So I was a little bit in the mind, and I said, I must do something to give some books. So I packaged like 5, 6 books, different categories. One Bhagavad Gita, one cooking book, 3 small books, different promotions. So
you package them, so you put a little ribbon?
I very nice with different colors, and I put also 3 incense inside. So I gave the class, the lecture, I explained that we are doing this marathon, this book distribution, and then I present each package for asking the people and the devotees to give this as a gift for Christmas and whatever. I said, presenting this is like 100 pesos. And
how many books did you distribute?
Yeah,
a lot of
books, yeah. When I finished the lecture, everybody came to me. Oh yeah, I want to.
You were sold out. All the books were gone.
Yeah, it was like the day was done. I mean, the same books that I can give in the streets. Yeah, I was very happy.
So it works.
It was very nice.
And then after Chaitanya, and then you.
Another nice, effective experience I've had with giving lectures is you give a lecture about the importance of how much advancement you can make by book distribution. If you distribute books, you make rapid advancement. So you kind of give a class on the benefit of everybody distributing books. And you have a table where they finish prashad and they have to walk through, you have their shoes or whatever, you have it strategically situated. So after class, during the class, you say, I'll be at that table, and everybody should just, take some literature with them and try this out. And give them a simple mantra, write a simple mantra that they could say to people. And an enormous amount of literature. They'll give you 20 bucks, and you just go to them, 20 books, or 40 pamphlets, or 10 Bhagavad Gitas, like that.
Good experience.
And it really works. I don't know if they're distributing them. I split town, but I'm sure you can get them to distribute too.
Yeah.
So even as we want to get more books out, making more distributors, the congregation of the distributors, by doing this regularly, at least once a month, having somebody give a lecture on book distribution could be extremely good efficient.
Thank you, Parameshwara. He's a leader, and he's thinking big. He's thinking of how to expand the Sankirtan movement. That's tomorrow's theme, how to expand Chaitanya, and then the lady in front of you. So,
Hare Krishna. Funny story from the 90s.
Fun story from the 90s.
In 95 marathon, I was disputing the marathon with Mother Nichak Shori. Now she's living here in Mayapur, she's distributing books there at the table. So it was me and Mother Nichak Shori disputing week by week, who is going to win. And what happened is that in the last week, Chandramukha Maharaj had won the marathon. What he did, he was not distributing.
He won the marathon.
He won the marathon.
In the last week?
No, the last day actually.
Okay.
He was not distributing at all. But in the last, I think it was the last day, it was a Sunday. He gave the Sunday class in a temple. And he just locked at the door of the temple after the Sunday class. Nobody goes out before buying Bhagavatam sets for him. And he started speaking one by one, convincing them to take a Bhagavatam set, the other devotees and visitors. So he distributed, 50 Bhagavatam sets or whatever. And he won the marathon. He won the marathon.
So that's a trick, okay? Lock the door. You want to get out, you got to buy a set.
very often in our temple when
Which temple is that?
Houston, Texas, USA. People say, I can read them in my phone or my tablet.
Okay.
So how can we?
Car park. Phone or electronic? You got a pen there? Yeah. We put it in car park. We're in a different topic now, but we'll speak about it, okay? All right, we're going to move on. I'd like to speak a little bit about Shastradhan. Have you heard of Shastradhan? Huh? Sponsored books. As our movement is growing, we have a big congregation, and believe it or not, some of them will come out on book distribution and some of them won't. Because, for whatever reason. I'm not going to analyze it, I'm not going to question it. Everybody is sympathetic to the cause. They're devotees. They want to glorify Krishna. They want to help the preaching. They want to help the book distribution. Some don't have the time, some don't have the courage, some just can't figure it out. Almost everybody will like to support. If you give people the support option, they will take it. So, in North America, as an example, Motel Gita, they have placed more than 500,000 Bhagavad Gitas in hotel rooms. 500,000 Gitas. All sponsored by congregation. And that's done by two devotees, Mayapur Bihari and Dilip Patel. Dilip Patel, he himself manages a small hotel, and he knows all the people who manage hotels, and he goes to all these conventions of the hotel owners, and they have put 500,000 Gitas out there. It's a good start, isn't it? In India, I'd say about 2/3 of the books who get distributed are sponsored books, where people give donations and then books get distributed for free in schools, to libraries, in prisons, in hotels, to workers, to employees, etc. It's a big way how to distribute books. Now, a word of caution. The experience that you get while giving somebody a book, talking about the book, glorifying Krishna, answering people's questions, defeating their doubts, and getting a donation is a whole different taste and a whole different experience than to get, you know, some money and then go and deliver a truckload full of books somewhere and somebody just hands them out for free. It's a different experience. I'm not saying this is right, this is wrong. I'm saying we need both. We need everything. But here, we're primarily talking to you as book distributors. But I know many of you are developing congregation, you're developing your teams, you'll deal with householders, with people who are in business, and they want to give. So then take the Lakshmi and put the books out there, but do it in a nice way. Go to a place where the books are appreciated. Make sure people actually get the books, so they're not just locked up somewhere in a warehouse, but somebody actually puts it in the hand of the workers, of the students, of the inmates in the prison, actually put the book into the libraries, put the book into the hotel rooms, so they don't just get stored somewhere and then, you know, go bad or get thrown away. So sponsored books, it can be a big thing. A lot of people get super enthusiastic. I know at ISKCON of Silicon Valley, who gave last year $500,000 to the BBT, #1 in remittances to the BBT in North America. Not one brahmachari, all working devotees. People get super excited and fired up, you know. On some Sunday feast, they say, okay, who likes to sponsor sets? And then people say 4 sets, 6 sets, 2 sets, 5 sets, and people just get super enthusiastic about this type of stuff. You know, sponsoring cases of books like that. So, give people the opportunity to sponsor books and find a way how to place them in places where people will appreciate them. Prabhupada said a few things about free books. He didn't want books to be taken cheaply. He didn't want books to just be thrown out there. His main point was somebody has to pay for them. And people should value them. So that being said, there is a room for free books. Like for instance, you go to schools, you go to prisons, You go to places where people do not have money. You can put out big amounts of books. I know now it was Kumbh Mela in Allahabad, Prayagraj, and they just put out lakhs of books. And they make package deal. They take a Bhagavad Gita and a small book, and they say the small book is 30 rupees and the Bhagavad Gita is for free. Free Bhagavad Gita. The small book, pay 30 rupees. It's fully sponsored, it's already covered, but they want the person to give something. Like that. So in this way they give something, but they get much more. So it's a package deal. Prema was also saying you combine 4 or 5 books together and you make a package deal. You wrap it in a nice ribbon, or you get some sponsorship. I know Jataka Maharaj, he puts in some of his donations into book distribution, and they can give 4 books for 200 rupees. It's super cheap, and in this way a lot of books go out. Yes?
In Africa, when Shibu in Africa, we used to do the festival tours. Because of, like, in the mid-90s and early 2000s, Shibu my Prabhupada disciple used to do big Africa tours, a bit like the Polish tour, but in Africa. And because in Africa a lot of people in villages and stuff don't have money, then they used to give out free books like that.
Yes.
To people who don't have money.
Yes, very good experience, people really appreciate. Thank you very much. We're moving on. Trains and buses. Do you have trains and buses in your area?
Yes.
Have you ever done book distribution there?
Yes.
We were in, outside of Jagannath Puri, a little north of Jagannath Puri, there is a big bus terminal where all the buses go through, who go to Puri or from Puri. It's a huge place. And we went there with 30, no, not 30, it was like 80 devotees. And you can do huge in bus terminals. Have you ever done books in train stations?
Yes.
How'd you like it? Is there enough people in the train station? Have you ever been to Dadar station? It's crazy, right? It's mad. It's like an anthill. There's so many people. And you can distribute books literally everywhere. Even in Switzerland, where there's less people, the best places I have found is where there was a train station, and next to it a post office, and next to it a bank or an ATM. And you can just walk from one to the other, and you just move around, move around, move around, move around, and in these places you've done the biggest. I know devotees who go on the buses and on the trains, and they distribute. Have you done books on trains?
Yes.
Who said yes? Prema. Mike.
Yes, my spot is like, this marathon was in the bus station terminal.
Where?
In Uruguay also. I did in Europe. And I also go in Argentinian trains. First people, but person to person. I don't say the mantra for everyone, but I approach each one or even 2 people and start talking like a friendship relation, people to people. Yeah.
Latin America, Africa, Southeast Asia, buses, train stations, best places, okay? Try it out. Europe, North America, see how it works, okay? It's time, place, and circumstance, but a lot of books can get distributed that way. I know a devotee in Vrindavan who takes the train from Mathura to Delhi every day, and he just distributes books on the train. He just goes up and down, you know? And he knows what time the business people travel, those who have money, and he goes in those times, and he just sells books on the train and comes back, and that's it. You can do group announcements to people in compartments, also subways, metros. It can be very good. You need to learn the art, how to engage, and how to make presentations. You can either talk one-on-one, or you can talk to groups, and you can distribute a lot of books, because there is a lot of people traveling there. Yes, Mark?
Can you give us,
Mike?
Can you give a sample of a group presentation on,
Yeah.
on a bus or whatever?
Basically speaking, can you hear me, people? Okay. Hello, welcome everybody. Thank you for being out here and going to work. I really don't think we don't appreciate it. Today is a special day for all the good-dressed, well-behaved people and for all the hard workers out there. We're showing them something. So you say a few nice things, and it catches their attention, you know. People are bored, you know, oh, I'm in rush hour traffic, I'm going to the job, you know. They just barely woke up, you know. But then there's this funny guy, and he starts saying something, and most of them don't even hear what you're saying. So get used to it. People don't really pay attention to what you say, but they pay attention to how you say it. So it's a matter of how you project your sound and your energy. But if you just stand in the corner and you go, me, 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 then forget about buses and trains. It's not going to happen for you. Alright? So you have to know how to project energy, how to make eye contact, and then you make a very simple basic presentation. And you can say, as I said the other day, by the mercy of Radha Govinda, we're distributing pure love of God, and you can help by giving a donation, and you get one of these beautiful books and one of these nice little package sweets, so please help out. In some places, what you can do is you give a few books in the hands, and then you talk, and then you may collect the donations or take the book back. And in other places, you may just go one-on-one and approach people as you move along. So there's different strategies. One thing is it's going to be brief, because it's loud, it's noisy, the thing is moving, people are tired, they're on their, whatever it is that they're busy with. So you have to know how to just spot the people who actually look at you and smile at you. And then you deal with them. You know, okay, he's favorable, he's looking at me. The other guy who's like, you know, let him sleep. Don't like, hey man, you know, like, wake up now, you know, I got a book for you. Just, you deal with the people who are favorable, those who are like, oh yeah, we got something going here. So you have to be attentive. I bet you, in every compartment, there is 2, 3, 5, 7 people who will start looking, start smiling, start nodding. Kind of like, hey, are you going to talk to me? Do you have something for me? You know? I mean, that's what I do here. Every day I walk around Mayapur for an hour, because, you know, legs are meant for walking, not for sitting. And I just say Hare Krishna to everybody. And if they say Hare Krishna back, and then they look at you like, do you have something for me? And I say, sure, I have something for you. Here, take this, you know? Read it. You can give something. So people leading boring lives. But then they meet a devotee, and they get a book. And especially if the devotee is happy, if you're blissful, people really can connect to that. Usually I don't do big or maha books. I do like medium books or small books, but I give a lot of them. Did you know that the biggest countries in book distribution in 1980, 81 were places like Venezuela, Bolivia, Ecuador? #1 countries in the world. How did they do it? In the buses. Yeah. They used to go in the buses and distribute 200, 300, 400 small books a day to everybody. And that can be done today. Again.
I want to share some tip of bus. When you
Hare Krishna, so you can be, it's good if you have a partner, 2 people, one give 2 or 3 books to everyone in the bus, and one said the mantra, present the books, and then you start collecting the books from the part, the bottom top part of the bus,
the back to
the back, and then you start collecting that way. So people, they don't see what if they are giving the book back. So you say something, oh thank you, yeah, here you have the book. Maybe sometimes you are not given the book, but people hear that they are buying, so they say, oh, I want to buy also. So that's that tip is good for buses.
I was in Indonesia taking a bus from Jakarta to Puncak. The temple is up on the hill. And I was riding that Volvo bus, and one person came by me and put this DVD in my hand. And it was some Muslim preacher, you know, talking about Allah and Quran and whatnot, you know. So he just went around and gave everybody that thing, and then he went around and collected donations. And I was like, where did he learn this? He got this from us. We're supposed to do this, right? This is our style, this is our strategy. So, it works, but you have to know how to deal with the logistics, of the situation. You will move fast, you have to know how to make brief presentations, how not to get caught up in details and questions. Just put them out there, whatever people give you, you give invitation cards, and everybody goes home happy. And save your voice. Either have an amplification, or just, you have to be mindful of your voice. Yes, in front of you.
On Vaisheshwar Prabhu's Yatra in Mayapur, we'd have two people and a bus would be coming in that just got to the station. And one person would go on, they'd give prasadam to the driver to get on, and then they would go and give like 2-3 books to every person sitting down. And then once they got out, people would be unloading and another person would stand outside the bus collecting donations or books if they're returning home.
You got that? Team effort. Go in pairs. You can do much more. I remember, I wasn't there, but I heard from people who were in New York, in the subways. Have you been to New York?
Yes.
Okay, you've heard of the subways in New York.
Yes.
They used to distribute these sweets. They used to make special packaged sweets. And they used to distribute like tens of thousands of them. Like literally, just flood the place with sweets. And people became so addicted by this prasadam distribution that everybody knew the Hare Krishnas. And people loved us. You can conquer a city by prasadam distribution. Literally. Just put it out there. And in Australia, for instance, because devotees have given out consistently quality prasadam over the decades, you can walk up to any person on the street in Australia and they will give you money because they have a good impression about the Hare Krishna movement. So that just shows that if you're giving, if you're in a giving mood, people will reciprocate. So buses and trains, it's a big way how to distribute things. Use it, try it out, you may like it. We're moving on. What else is there that we haven't covered yet? Schools and hospitals, we did the universities. Hospitals, you have to be a little bit sensitive. People are sick, people are dying, people are just born, people are a little bit edgy, they're a bit emotional. So you have to be sensitive to the situation. I know a devotee, the biggest devotee in Italy. His name was Namhata Prabhu. Have you heard of Namhata? Short guy. He loved the hospitals. He'd go door to door to the hospitals and sell books to the patients, to the nurses, to the doctors, to the office staff. He'd do sets, he'd do huge. He was so sweet, people loved him. He'd go into government offices, whole government offices, and work his way all the way to the top guys and give them books. Because he was fearless. He was just not connecting with the outside scenario. He was just tuning in to individuals. So hospitals can be a good place. I like the parking lots outside better than the inside. Somebody said, what was it, festivals or concerts?
Concerts,
yeah, concerts. There's festivals and concerts where people gather together. You have a lot of people in one place, very good place to distribute books. Some places you can get permits, some places not. But just be at the right place at the right time. Like if you would go fishing, where would you go?
Water.
Water. Very good point. Water, yes, they can be fish, right? Don't go to the desert. You want to go fishing. So you want to distribute books, find out where there's a lot of people in one place. And even better if they're in a good mood. Even better if they go out to spend money. Even better if it's like young, open-minded kind of people. Yes?
Can I share one thing real quick? What?
You might.
Okay.
We have the internet, and if you just type in Google in your hometown, and type in, for example, Los Angeles Vegan Festival, and then type in like the year, the best places I found are vegan fairs and festivals. These people are sweet like anything.
So find out where the festivals are. Use the internet, do a little research. Okay, where are the festivals in my area? There's vegan festivals, there is cannabis festivals, there is music festivals, there is yoga festivals, there is, so many festivals. Use it. Go to those places and you'll do huge. And sometimes you can put a booth, and sometimes you just walk around. Okay? Try it out. We're moving on. What else has not been covered? Traveling Sankirtans. You get a van and you just move around in a van and you distribute all over the country. Chaitanya covered this before, but please don't underestimate it. Sometimes you become a little stagnant if you're always in your own town. You become a little comfortable, a little conditioned by your mental environment. So go out into a different city and face the new, fresh challenge of being in a new place, talking to new people. And you will see, it's a whole new world out there. And it's beautiful. So try it out. Sports grounds is like festivals, events of sporting variety. People might not be that sweet, but, you know, there's people. Taxis. I know one taxi driver in New York, he has Prabhupada's bhajans and he talks to every passenger. And at the end, he gives a small book to everyone, people give him tips. He says, whenever I finish the box of books, I have enough donations in my jar to buy a new box of books. So, talk to the taxi drivers in your town. Get them to take books. Get them to distribute books. Have you started, Alex? Giving books?
I mean, slowly, I give flyers.
You give flyers, okay. We'll upgrade you to books. Military bases. The military, people who are in the service, very good candidates for taking books. You know what I do with the army people? Especially here in India? I say, oh, you're in the military? You know this guy, Arjuna? He's also in the military. So you and him, same. Huh? You're the same. You know what I do with the taxi drivers? He's also, you know, Sarati, Garibala, he's also a guy in the show. But you know, when you have bhakti, when you have devotion, it's okay. You can drive a car. It's okay. You can be a chariot driver. It's okay. You can be an army guy. It doesn't matter. If you have devotion in your heart, you can be the greatest person. This book is for you. Everybody will take. I mean, service people, they're disciplined, they're well-behaved, they follow orders, they give donations. You just tell them, take this, give a donation. They say, yes, sir. How much, sir? It's not complicated, right? But you have to be able to, you know, make your point.
What about parks?
Parks. Yes, parks are great places. I mean, just go to parks where there are people. Some parks are empty, or they're empty most of the time of the day. You have to know when the parks are busy. And in that time, you go there and you meet the people. We talked about temples, art crawl, yes, conventions. Libraries, try to place books in all the libraries in your area. Some of them will buy them, some of them will take them as donations. A lot of people get to know Krishna consciousness because they found a book in the library. You'd be surprised. Bookstores. Try to place books in bookstores. Corporate offices, friends, relatives, don't forget your folks. You know, the people that you grew up with, your neighborhood people. There's an advantage and there's a disadvantage side to it. The advantage side to it is they most likely won't refuse you because they're your friends and relatives. The disadvantage is they know all your secrets and they don't take you that seriously. So there is limitations on how much you can, you know, impact friends and family. But if you're nice, they will actually appreciate. Yes.
Prabhu, I used to give books as birthday presents or Christmas presents, but I got the feeling that people would just throw it in a drawer or the trash. Maybe.
So do it once or twice, but don't overdo it. You know, you can do these things occasionally, but not like every year. Oh, I get the same book for my birthday. You know, I'm just saying, don't overdo it. Do it once, and then see if somebody actually gives you feedback and gives you a response. Chaitanya?
I don't know if you covered this point already, but one important point that I see that when you distribute books to friends, relatives, and like co-workers, people that you know, is that when, because people they get, the devotees they get, oh, and how am I going to ask for a donation? No, they become insecure about that. So one way, easy way to do it is that to present the books, make them interested, and then you just mention that, you can give a donation for charity. But don't say that's for me, it's for charity. And the people, they give very easily. Even if you are his friend or his like uncle or whatever, when you mention others for charity, they tend to give very easily.
Oftentimes, thank you, Chaitanya. Oftentimes, what I found with friends and relatives, what's a better strategy is, I give them books as gifts. I find out what they're interested in. I give them books as gifts, and they're helpful to me. They're helpful to me in many ways. They may support me. They may give me something. So just put it out there. And don't worry, it will come back. The last one I'd like to talk about is the internet. Most underused, underutilized, undervalued way of how to distribute books. You can distribute tons of books through the internet. I have friends in Mumbai. Have you heard of Flipkart? Have you seen those guys on the motorbikes with the big bags on their back, delivering parcels? So you can have, instead of wasting your time on social media, you can put a little effort into distributing books online. If you want to do online work, okay, distribute books online. I know in China it's a big thing. I know in India it's a big thing. In other places, you can actually share the message of Krishna consciousness through the web. And of course, you can waste a lot of time. You can get totally lost and completely bewildered out there. That's why generally we do not advise it to the temple devotees or the brahmacharis to get involved in internet, preaching, outreach, or book distribution. But somebody who already is active in the business world or using the internet, then use it for Krishna. And put the books there. Talk to people about Krishna. I have a friend in Mumbai, Vaishnav Seva Prabhu, who is a surgeon. He runs ISKCON Desire Tree, which is also broadcasting this, besides Mayapur TV. And he has several, 60 websites or more. He has 34 employees that work full-time. He's got Hare Krishna TV now that he's running on the internet and soon on satellite. One man employing an army of 34 people to do preaching on the web and reaching millions of people. So, Prabhupada would use this opportunity. So use it, yes.
I have an example of
one devotee in Marathon. When we went out, he was always filming videos on this topic on internet. He was filming himself and putting videos on Facebook. And then he made like an insurance video, like we have a life insurance and he gave a book. Then we have a history insurance and he gave properly Lamberta. And we have health insurance and he gave kitchen book, cooking book. And then actually one guy called him and he was in traveling Sankirtan party and that guy who called him came to a temple and bought a whole set of books, actually 2 Bhagavad Gitas, and the together was 10 books.
Very nice, thank you for sharing. So as you can see, there is no limits to where you can distribute books. And the first and foremost place where to distribute books is start with yourself. Distribute yourself the book, which means read Prabhupada's books every day. Because otherwise you will run out of enthusiasm, you will run out of steam. There is no lack of places, there is no lack of people, there is no lack of resources. This afternoon we're going to speak about challenges that we're facing in our service as book distributors, and also about inspiration, what drives our engine, what inspires us to go out and distribute books. Thank you for your kind attention. I'd like to see you back here after lunch at 3:29. Hare Krishna. Oh, praise God.